I'm going to say, look, someone's visiting the hive.
As they do.
Yes. No, there's a guy doing, I actually don't know what he's doing. I think he's doing
Fire alarm.
fire alarm. There you go.
So there might be a fire alarm.
No, I had a chat with him. I said,
Okay, good.
Please be quiet between 10 and 12:30. So no vacuuming, no crawling around on the ceiling. So we're good.
Oh, wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah.
Okay. It's gonna be amazing. So my plan is literally just to say hi when you ask me to say hi. Tell everybody thanks so much for coming, introduce Dom, and then I'm going off camera and turning it over to all the other humans.
Okay. Are you guys on the calendar invite?
I don't think so.
No,
Okay. I'm gonna add you. Did you register?
I registered, yes.
It should be on your calendar then.
Let me check.
I had lots of people emailing me to tell me I'm sorry. And we're getting notes from people about whether the room is opening.
Well, yeah, in a minute. Let me get the list. I'll let Dom in. Let's see who else. There's 13 people. Billy just called and he said, am I supposed to have slides? And I said, no. You don't have to have slides.
Yeah, I spoke to him. I told him it was 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, he said nothing jumped in his spirit that made him want to present with slides. And I said, that's a great way to guide yourself. All right, so now that we have 4 people, I'm going to see if I can spotlight. Yes, I can. Okay. It wasn't letting me spotlight when there was just 2 of us. So. Okay. 2 minutes. I'll go ahead and open the room.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
There's Isaac. All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Kyle. I'm a waiver.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know, right?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Hi, Michelle.
We're going to give everybody just a minute to get settled and situated. I'm going to stop
trust that you'll be driving all the slideware.
I shall.
Okay, thanks.
So you can just say bam when you want the slide changed and I'll do
We
it.
were
You
supposed to
betcha.
send slides.
No. It's optional.
Okay.
Lovely.
I have some.
Oh, well, you can share your screen and do it from there.
Yeah, they're just Google. There's only 5.
Yeah. 1 per minute. Excellent. I'm just letting more folks in.
Hi, Liv.
Everybody.
Good morning to those of you joining us. We are just letting a few people in and we're at the top of the hour, so we'll get started within the minute.
Hey, Tracy.
Howdy.
Your hair's getting long. Looks good.
Needed a change.
Okay. We're going to have people joining us as we progress, and that is a-okay. So with that, we are happy to have you here and welcome you to the third annual Digital Inclusion Summit. And we are gathered here today because it is Digital Inclusion Week. So we are kicking off the week with you guys, and we're going to talk about all kinds of things as they relate to digital inclusion. And when I pause, I am just letting more people in. There we go. Okay. All righty. So we have 25 dynamic speakers today, and we are discussing 9 timely topics. And we are going to do this lightning round style. So we're going to go through this quickly, including the intro. So I will fly through a few slides just to get everybody comfortable with what we're doing. And off we go. We'll get our speakers all situated. My name is Stephanie. I'm the head of community activation for IDEA, and we'll talk a little bit about that name because it might be new to some of you who we haven't seen recently. We have rebranded, and we used to be Digital Equity Institute, and we are now the Institute for Digital Inclusion Acceleration. So the name, which Erin can talk about just a little bit, more closely aligns with our mission and values and goals. So we are happy to have you know us as IDEA. Then the premise of IDEA is that we envision a world where everyone can fully and meaningfully participate in the digital age. And we want to start with an Indigenous land acknowledgement. I'm going to relocate some things on my screen so I can read it. In the spirit of truth, healing, and reconciliation, we humbly and respectfully acknowledge the Indigenous nations who have stewarded the land we now call Arizona since time immemorial. We acknowledge all 22 distinct tribes, and in gratitude, we honor the wisdom of past, present, and future elders and community members and the enduring strength of their cultures and connections to the land. So as we're going through our speakers today, if everyone could take note that this is something that we would like for you all to do. We like everyone to give a visual description of themselves for our visually impaired friends. So we just ask that you introduce yourself as I'm going to do right now. I have brownish gray hair. I am of Western European descent. I am female. I'm wearing a black dress, and I am sitting in the hive at Guadalupe South Mountain. So as you can see, this gives folks an idea of visually what's happening so they can better align with your conversation. And we have more people in the waiting room that I am going to let in. We have 101 people that will be joining us today, so we appreciate all of you being here. Okay. So we'd like to know what you think. If you could type into the chat 1 or 2 words about what you think the most important component of digital inclusion is. So is it community? Is it telehealth, learning, employment opportunities? Just type in the chat what you think is most important so we'll know where everyone is. So while we're collecting answers, I wanted to welcome Dr. Erin Carr-Jordan, our CEO, and Don Papa, our Chief Government Relations Officer. So welcome to you two.
Thanks so much.
Hi, everyone.
So I just wanted to kick it off. I know Steph is going to be emceeing throughout our time together today. But I did want to take a very brief moment to say hello, first of all, and welcome you on behalf of IDEA. I'm Erin Carr-Jordan. I'm the president and CEO of IDEA. This is Dom Papa. Dom, you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Don Papa, lead government relations for IDEA.
So today is a really special day for us. This is the third annual Digital Inclusion Celebration Summit. This is really where we bring people together and we like to create space where we can showcase all of the incredible work that's happening around Arizona and step back as an organization. We are privy for a lot of reasons to some of this just incredible work that's happening, and we can't wait for you to showcase it to your fellow Arizonans and for people who might not otherwise be familiar with the work that you do to get a chance to see your awesomeness. And so that's really what today is about. Dom, do you want to add anything?
No, I think you hit it on the head. I think just, again, it's so great to be around so many leaders. And I think we all can agree that, true digital inclusion goes beyond simply providing access to technology. It's about the collaborations, about the partnerships. It's about really the people that we're providing these services to. And so just excited to be here and be around so many great leaders today.
Awesome. So as you're here today, we only ask one thing, just listen, listen for opportunities for deeper collaboration, for things that you might find that are synergistic with some of the folks that are presenting. We know that when we lock arms and we work together, we can have increased impact and we can accelerate the time that it takes us to do this work. So thank you on behalf of IDEA for coming today. We are incredibly excited for what the next 2.5 hours hold. And Steph, I'm going to turn it back over to you to get us started.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to walk you guys through the agenda just so you know what you're getting yourselves into today. And with that, we will have Sandip join us and talk about the state of the state. Lev is going to walk us through shaping digitally inclusive futures. And Nicole will join us to talk about preparing for funding. There's a lot of movement in the funding arena, and within that ecosystem, we have many things to discuss. Tracy is joining us to talk about tribal digital sovereignty. And Mignon is joining us to talk about the complexities of connecting rural communities. Every community is a little bit different, and we'll talk about how that affects our strategic approach to connecting with these groups.
So Steph, I'm going to throw a curveball your way, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I just got a text from Sandip. He's stuck in DC, but he has asked Amy Dorman, who is here. I see her in the list of attendees. So he has asked her to present in his stead. So Amy, if you are okay, I just wanted to give Steph a heads up that you will be stepping into that role. And thanks so much for coming. We're really excited that you're here.
Thanks for having me. I'm definitely big shoes to fill, but grateful to be a part of this meeting and to share what Sandip and the team are working on. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
You bet. Okay, just walking through the agenda quickly here. We're going to talk about navigating digital worlds and the guides that help us get there. And we'll talk about community anchors and how we're achieving digital equity in various communities. And we'll talk about literacy skills and the future of work. And then we'll talk about, also literacy skills in the future of work, but with our friends Raghu, who couldn't join us today, but has recorded something for us to watch, and Billy as well. So I want to talk about some acronyms before we dive in. My preference when I'm doing a live event is to have an acronym swear jar. So if you say an acronym without explaining what it is first, then $1 goes in the jar. But for the purposes of doing this virtually, we won't make you pay up. But please explain your acronyms before you go there. So BEAD is broadband equity access and deployment. We know what ISPs are. They are internet service providers. Very important distinction. National Digital Inclusion Alliance is NDIA, and TIA is our National Telecommunications and Information Administration. And then we have DEA, which is a new acronym that we're using this year, not the Drug Enforcement Agency, but the Digital Equity Act. So know that those are going to be addressed. And if you have an acronym to add to this, or if someone uses an acronym and you're not sure what it means, just put it in the chat and we will help you out. So Aaron and Dom have said hello for us, and we are going to move on to Sandip stand-in, his stunt double. So let me get to you.
Hi there.
Hi.
My name's Amy Dorman. I'm just covering for Sandip. I'm the Deputy Director for the State Broadband Office. Are we just doing introductions, or did you want us to do our lightning round quick overview?
Now is the time. Go ahead and lightening us up.
Okay, we're really excited with the opportunity that we received in partnership with NTIA. August 1st, we received approval of our volume 2, which it's been an exciting sprint. We have significant amount of funding to help spread throughout the state of Arizona. The focus is to ensure that all Arizonans are connected. And it really is, I think, a historical opportunity. It reminds me, not that I was around, but it's like electricity. It really is to kind of connect the state in a way that's never been done before. And we are currently walking through our market sounding process where we divided the state into different initial project areas. And we made a choice to pursue market sounding so we can meet with internet service providers, tribal nations, and local governments to receive their direct feedback on the initial draft project areas that we've developed. We're going through that process. It's a 45-day process. We're down to about 30. We're also open during market sounding to meet with individual stakeholders to ensure that we're collecting their input and their feedback and able to answer their questions. And we are excited to be walking through the pre-registration process on our new portal, which will be user-friendly. The State Broadband Office has been involved in different, I would say, digital equity and broadband initiatives. There's the ABDG program through the Treasury Department, which is a $100 million program that we're also managing in addition to BEAD. And there's a middle mile effort that we're actively managing as well. And one of the most important portfolios is the digital equity portfolio to ensure that all communities across Arizona are able to utilize the technology and the services and ensure that it's accessible. I'm not sure if that was lightning round enough, but happy to answer additional questions and pass the baton.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any questions? All right. We will move on. Thank you so much for your time and for stepping in at the last second. Okay. Now we will move on to Lev. Dr. Lev Gonick, how are you this morning?
Great. Thanks, Stephanie. I'm doing well. If you want to move to the next slide.
Yes.
Good morning to everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks so much to IDEA for the invitation to spend some time. I feel very much like this is a family conversation. And so I'm actually going to try in the time that's been allotted to me to actually be a bit provocative, as you might sort of want to have around a dinner conversation. And hopefully you'll use the back channel of the chat here and perhaps push back or otherwise engage with me. Another way to put the title on the slide, and I'm going to give you a preview of my conclusion in just a second so that you can be thinking about this. But another way of sort of thinking about the overall question about futures is really an insight that has guided much of my own thinking for a very long time in this space. And that is, in order to predict the future, it's really important to understand the past. And so as to not bury the headline really is that the meaning of digital inclusion and the pursuit of excellence when it comes to digital inclusion has changed significantly over the last 30 years, and it will continue to evolve and change over the next 30 years. And we would do ourselves a disservice in broad terms to think that we are somehow frozen in time at this very moment in a snapshot, but rather to realize that this is very much part of a streaming video that has been going on for some significant amount of time, at least 35 years, and will undoubtedly, the pursuit of excellence when it comes to commitments to digital inclusion will advance our work for the next generations to come. And so let me just kind of offer you, rather than just asserting that, some framing of where we've been over the last 35 years or so. Once upon a time, and I'm very much old enough, oh, not when I should say, and I apologize, Stephanie, I'm white, Caucasian, graying and losing hair. I'm colorblind, but I think I'm sitting here wearing a pink shirt today, and I'm at Arizona State University. So I am old enough, as I was saying, to remember that what digital inclusion used to mean a long time ago, like 35 years ago, was an opportunity to learn what a word processor was and how spreadsheets work before there was actually broad understanding that in fact there was a technical infrastructure that would soon be called the internet. There was a movement, there was work that went on in communities to make sure that people understood what digital was about, different than analog, just in the world of typing and ledgers and things of that sort. And certainly in the moment of the internet, there was a moment in time when digital inclusion was really focusing in on making sure that people had opportunities for internet dial-up, well before there was an understanding of internet broadband. A significant shift over time about what it meant to pursue digital inclusion and digital excellence for inclusion. For decades, we worked on fiber to connect schools. That was what digital inclusion was. I remember, myself, my very first set of projects was fibering up schools in Southern California. And I mobilized half of the college that I was affiliated with and every community activist who was interested, and said, this is the way we pursue our commitments to digital inclusion. And of course, now, as I think everyone understands in BEAD, the objective of the BEAD program is to fiber up every address in America. So digital inclusion has shifted in terms of what it means in that context. Again, digital inclusion 30 years ago was making sure that every school had a computer lab. That's what digital inclusion was. And we worked tirelessly to try to achieve that. But of course, wiring up schools is a big deal. And then, of course, 20 years later, digital inclusion meant understanding how important it was to wire up community anchor institutions, not just schools, but museums and libraries in particular, community healthcare facilities and the like. And that is also evolving and continuing to evolve, where now we want digital literacy for everyone, not just people who find their way to community anchor institutions. We've used the courts to try to fight for digital equity and inclusion, and we continue to use the courts, but we've also got public policy work to pursue that. And the nature of public policy, witnessing the largest ever investment in digital infrastructure and a commitment to digital equity underway in our lifetimes. And again, this is not a snapshot for something to be frozen in time. This is really part of an ongoing streaming of experiences here that really bridging the digital divide, which was once upon a time the meme of why we did what we did. Really what we've been trying to do and what we will continue to need to do is to pursue digital inclusion for the next 30 years. And I think that really it's less about thinking about this as the divide, but rather in the concept of the need to continue to evolve our thinking. There are 4 key ways of thinking about continuity. What has been the same as opposed to what has changed? First of all, and I think Tracy will be speaking about this in the context of her own deep scholarship and personal commitments, data and data transparency matter. They matter whether it's tribal sovereignty, and it matters whether or not you're working in the grassroots community or broadly trying to support public policy in the state of Arizona. Understanding who and why digital inequity exists can only be solved with data. The rest of it is very, very much conflated with business interests, which have their own logic. They're important, but they have their own logic. So that's the first piece of it. Data matters. Secondly, again, data matters no matter where we've been over the last 35 years or where we're going to be for the next 35 years. Secondly, adopting technology requires us to focus on humans, which is, I think, the core of what IDEA seeks to do. Not only as customers or potential broadband customers at a particular address, but much, much more complex and thoughtful strategy that takes partnerships to try to advance that commitment. And that too is a piece of continuity. The third is public investment in broadband is neither evil nor a silver bullet. Growing access and adoption of the internet for the remaining 25% of Americans who are underserved and unserved is about advancing humans that can participate in the education and workforce, health and wellness, education, economic and social mobility. In other words, to become citizens of the 21st century. That's a significant and I would say continuing theme here. And finally, as I've been trying to stress in these opening remarks, and then I'll go to my very quick set of slides here to try to underscore where we are and where we'll go in the future, is that there's always going to be more work to be done. The goalposts will continue to change. I want to give you one insight in that really innovation and disruption occasioned by technology is maybe the only constant in our lives and the lives of our kids and their kids and the rest of humanity going forward. So if we go to the next slide, I'll just broadly share why. Let's go back to that first point. Data matters. There is no more important effort that has started from grassroots activities than to challenge the assumption that there is a monopoly of truth about who has access to internet, forever voluntarily reported by the providers. There's nothing wrong. Again, there are no enemies here in this exercise, but there are very different motivations for actually doing that kind of reporting. And over the last 25 years, and thankfully in the current moment under the current administration, we have a much more significant effort. And here in Arizona, in partnership, in an initiative which can be found under AZ1, you can see that on the right-hand side of the screen, there is an effort to not only provide very, very publicly accessible data and insights as to who has broadband access and who needs broadband access, but to layer the interdependencies. Where do we need better healthcare outcomes? Where do we need to achieve better education outcomes? Where is there workforce opportunities? And to realize that, in fact, broadband is one of the most important social determinants of outcomes, policy outcomes that we can have here. And more importantly, AZ1 will be available to the community in perpetuity, not just as it were bounded by the current broadband investments that are part of BEAD going forward. Data matters and will always matter. And most importantly, as the technical work of the broadband mapping pursues, which is a check the box exercise, which we have to do, more importantly, we're beginning to layer stories of the humans who live on addresses on these maps and their stories about the ways in which access to the internet is helping to change or challenge the worlds that they have and the aspirations they have for themselves and their children. Go to the next slide. The second major piece here is the human side of the house. I'm so thrilled to have seen the amazing development of the network of hives that is developing across this metropolitan Maricopa area, and hoping that it will actually, in one form, shape, or another, get exported across the state of Arizona. Humans not only have to be in the middle of it, Humans are the central reason why we are engaged in the work of digital inclusion. And it is a complete falsehood to assume that the only place that humans work on technology is at their home address. In fact, isolation is a central challenge to overcome. Certainly in the post-COVID era, it's something that we're all grappling with. And community spaces where people can discover not only how to use the technology in the way that the labs, the computer labs, when I was involved in the early 1990s in community computing centers and later community technology centers, it was a place to learn technique. This is not only a place to learn technique, it's a place to share ideas. It's a place to start new businesses. It's a place to know how to navigate the healthcare system. It's a place to actually have children inspire their grandparents on why it's so exciting to use the technology. It's a place to explore and to actually play. These are such important assets, and there is no physical place to do that in not only in the Metro Phoenix area, in truth, anywhere in America. And I think the Hive is just a brilliant prototype of the work that IDEA is leading across. To start with here, the metro area of Phoenix, but hopefully over time elsewhere, and inspire others across the country to see this kind of work, not as a one-off. I think, Stephanie, you said you were at Guadalupe. This one is at Tempe. There's Chandler. There's multiple hives in the Phoenix area and more coming as a contemporary but physical location for a modern contemporary community gathering point. And this is where stories get told, at gathering locations, whether those are around the fire or whether those are around the table, and hopefully in this kind of hive. So that's why, again, the human feature, that second continuous piece of insight about digital excellence in terms of inclusion, is like such an important piece of putting humans where they can meet together. Let's go quickly to the next slide and just talk about the reality that infrastructure is not something at this point that anyone can take for granted. For 25 years, most folks involved in digital inclusion were told, don't worry your pretty little minds about infrastructure. All of that will be taken care of for you because there is a market, and the market knows how to do this better than anyone else. It's an and both rather than either or proposition. It has always been that reality. I could take you on a much longer conversation about what has evolved over the last 30 years, but we are seeing an unprecedented public investment in infrastructure, which includes not only supporting private investment, but leveraging private investment. It's also the case, as has been the case for the last 35 years, that whether it's electric co-ops in rural America, rural Arizona, or whether it is urban nonprofit organizations or municipalities engaged in building solutions that meet the needs of their own citizens, it's an and both proposition. Almost all of the investment in Arizona is going to be leveraged in the form of public-private partnerships to try to deliver infrastructure. Without public investment, we will have had no opportunity to break through to the bottom third of the challenges we face. Bottom in the sense of the last third of Arizona that is not yet connected. If it was just a matter of private investment, it would have happened 25 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago. This requires, and has always required in public policy, public investments to actually establish the market, because in Arizona, with as diffused a population and as geographically diverse as we have, there's rarely been a market-driven reason to set up the kind of digital infrastructure that we're working on. And that too will be part of the legacy of the BEAD initiative. It's not a one and done, but it is one hell of a big bang. We're going to have to continue to find creative ways of using public policies to invest. And then finally, the last slide. This is not the end of history. It's so important to understand that we are in the middle of a stream of activities that are going on here, and AI and the future of that disruptive technology. And if we go to the final slide, which is the piece that I can just speak to briefly here, AI is not something happening to others. AI is happening to all of us, impacting all of our experiences as humans. And it will be, if we are not mindful at this very moment, it will be the source of the next great digital divide. The world will divide, unfortunately, unless indeed we are more attentive to it, into the haves and the have-nots, much as it has for the last 40 years. Those who are able to harness it will accelerate their opportunities to participate in the digital and AI-enabled economy of the future, to create new opportunities, to create new healthcare experiences and outcomes. And those who are not will find their way into not only a reliving of the gap that we unfortunately are still dealing with today, the gap will actually increase. So it's a bit of a call to action here as we talk about the future and our commitment to future excellence when it comes to digital inclusion, is to realize that the work is not going to be done today or in the next 3 to 5 years. This is a commitment for generations to stay vigilant and committed to supporting and working together as a community to help the human condition. Thanks, Stephanie. Back to you.
Thank you, love. So next up, we are going to hear from Nicole. Nicole, I'm going to spotlight you. There we go.
Well,
How are you this morning?
I'm sure fired up after that. Thanks, love. I am a brown-skinned woman with long black hair, and I'm wearing a brown and white shirt. Well, good morning and happy Digital Inclusion Week. I am so honored to be here today to celebrate with all of you and hear about all of the incredible work that you're doing. We know that connectivity is critical, and this is our moment to make sure that everybody is able to reap the benefits of the internet and engage in society fully. In November 2021, Congress passed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, which includes a historic investment in broadband and digital equity. We call these the Internet for All programs. This created the BEAD program, the Digital Equity Act funding, as well as additional funding for the Tribal Broadband Connectivity Program. Each state and territory is in a slightly different timeline of enacting the goals of the infrastructure law, and Arizona is making really great progress. NTIA just announced the approval of Arizona's initial proposal in August, and that was the detailed plan for how the state is going to utilize their $993 million allocation to bring broadband across the state. Right now, they're in the finalization of their challenge process. This was a huge effort to identify and substantiate every single household and community anchor institution that's eligible for these grant funds. This is a really critical part of the process for enacting their plan to competitively award subgrants for last mile broadband deployments. If funding is available, to support other eligible activities as well. So very soon, we're going to see Arizona post the public notice of the final classifications of each unserved, underserved, or eligible anchor that was determined through this process. So it's a really fun time for data and visualization people. Then eligible applicants are going to demonstrate how they'll build networks in each of these project areas that are determined to serve everyone. We know that fiber is a future-proof technology that will grow with the data needs over time. It's considered the gold standard. But where fiber is not economically feasible, states and territories do have other options. NTIA has produced guidance about how states can ensure that they're selecting the most reliable and scalable technologies available to be able to build out to any location, whether that's using fiber, a hybrid fiber coax network, licensed fixed wireless networks, or LEOs, low Earth orbit satellites. Once selected, the BEAD awardees will then demonstrate National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, compliance for each of these projects. They'll navigate a fairly complex permitting landscape, like here in Arizona, with a variety of land uses. And they will be required to build out these networks within 4 years of their award. Nobody said this was going to be easy. In addition, the awardees must establish a low-cost service option to make sure that this service is not just available and accessible, but actually affordable for people to be able to subscribe. This brings me to our second program. So getting beyond the basics of just access, a connection to your home doesn't help a whole lot if you're not able to afford it or you don't know how to use it. The second program in the Internet for All initiative is the Digital Equity Act funding, which is $2.75 billion, which established 3 grant programs for states and Native entities, as well as direct to community organizations and advocates. This is truly a remarkable time. And those of us who have been in this game for a while know that the contents of the Digital Equity Act were developed in partnership with practitioners, with NDIA from long before COVID, and it was brought into the infrastructure law. And just look at how the momentum for this work has only grown. The first program established was the Digital Equity Planning Grant Program, which is now rounded out. Every state and territory, for the first time in history, has a digital equity plan of how they are conceptualizing barriers, as well as taking steps to address and ameliorate these issues. I hope you're very familiar with Arizona's plan, which you can find on the Arizona Commerce Authority or the ACA's website. The second program is the State Digital Equity Capacity Grant Program, which is funding for states and territories to implement those programs. We're in the process of reviewing and accepting Arizona's application for the Capacity Grant Program right now. With Arizona's plan, you'll know that it focuses on developing local capacity for digital equity leadership throughout the state, which is a really exciting initiative. For the capacity program, funding was also made available for Native entities, specifically through a competitive process to conduct their own digital equity planning and carry out digital equity and inclusion activities that are consistent with the Act. That application just opened, and it will close on February 7th, 2025. Finally, we have the Digital Equity Competitive Grant Program, which is a $1.25 billion program for grantees to develop and implement their own digital equity projects, working in tandem and sometimes to fill in the gaps of state digital equity plans. This is a competitive grant program that application unfortunately did just close, and NTIA is furiously reviewing and is eager to announce those awards soon. There's also a statutory set aside for Native entities within the competitive grant process as well. One thing that I hear from talking to stakeholders is a concern about the sustainability of funding and the continuity of these types of efforts. And I want to take a page from Lev and try to say something a little bit provocative, that there may not always be designated funding for digital equity work. But as those of us working in this space know, that this work is the social goal. This is the way that we want to see the world. So whether we have specific funding for digital equity or it's baked into all of our agency missions all along, we know that this work is going to continue. This is a really exciting time for the state. And I hope that you'll continue to be engaged with the work to develop connections and relationships with the State Broadband Office, who will be developing their own set of funding for with their capacity grant funds, and as well as to keep nourishing those interdependencies and making the conclusions between other things that you want to change in the world and the need for digital equity. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all of the hard work that you're doing. And I'm really excited to hear from you and to continue to learn.
Thank you so much, Nicole. We're going to hand the mic over to Tracy. Tracy, how are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Chukma, everyone. So yes, Lev and Nicole to follow up. Woo, okay. So let me introduce myself. So Holcha Foat, Alichi, Tracy Morris, and Choka Chafa Holcha Foat in Koni Homa Chickasaw Sea. So I'm Dr. Tracy Morris, and I'm a citizen of the Chickasaw Nation of Oklahoma, and I just did a greeting in my own language. And for those who might be visually impaired. I've never had this introduction before, but I am a Native American woman, and I have long dark hair. I'm wearing a blue top and a patterned jacket. So I am the executive director of the American Indian Policy Institute, and I'm a research professor at the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law. And I feel a lot like I'm speaking to a lot of people I know, like we're speaking in to each other. We all know each other so well. But in case you don't know, I've been working in this area a long time. Here in Lev talk about back in the day. I have my own back in the day. I don't know that I've been in it as long as Lev, but about 17 years now, I've been working in this space of what we used to call tribal broadband. And we didn't call it, what we call it, digital equity back in the day before it was digital inclusion. I think there was a name before that also. So I think in response to Nicole's point just a moment ago, this work will go on. It was happening before, just wasn't called the same thing. It will go on. So I'm the academic in this space, and I co-authored the very first study of tribal access, use, and availability in Indian country, and that was in 2009. I kind of lucked into that opportunity in that I had never done anything about technology before, but I sure got the bug when I started doing that paper. And we did that paper because there was nobody that would take on that research on tribal populations in 2009. I remember coming into this space brand new, and tribes have been working in this space of what I would call advocacy in tribal telephone and telecommunications since the early 80s. And that's all well documented. Well, it will be well documented. I'll tell you more about that later. But I came into it about 2008 or 9, and nobody thought tribes wanted access because there was no studies, and then there was nobody that would do a study because our populations were so small. So that's how I got into this and got the bug. So fast forward, I've been doing this work since then, and in 2019, we also did another study here at the American Indian Policy Institute, the Tribal Technology Assessment, which we released in October of 2019. And guess what happened in 2020? Well, we all know what happened. But it was still like the only current academic baseline study of access, use, and availability. And it is still, a lot of the data that it's in it still holds up. It's interesting, though it was a small study because it was original research on tribal lands, and that's a whole nother thing I'm not going to even chat about. It's interesting to me that it still has validity and is being used. We're getting ready to launch another study. Just got some money from the Internet Society to start quantifying all this data that's coming out of all these grants. So I think that's going to be very interesting in the next 2 years. We're just getting ready to announce that. But I'm also working on a book on tribal digital sovereignty. So when I talk about it's well documented, this history of advocacy, I've got pages of timelines and notes, and it's very, very interesting stuff and such. So our current work has really morphed into this new Center for Tribal Digital Sovereignty that I want to tell you about, that AIPI has formed. And part of that is also the story of what is tribal digital sovereignty and where did that really come from. And so, I've been working in this space forever, and so have a number of people that have worked for me in the past. Some of them are on this, some who work for me now are on this call, some who worked for me in the past are on this as well. But, it used to be we just said we worked in tribal broadband, or we were experts in tribal broadband, or if we were speaking about digital equity, we talked about digital equity. If we were talking about the digital divide, we talked about the digital divide. But then how do you bring all this together? Because it's not just, it's a whole ecosystem. It's not just broadband, it's not just digital equity, it's infrastructure, it's capacity building, it's all of these things. And then you bring into it this massive infusion of cash that, thank goodness, Nicole talked about, so I don't have to. We needed a way to comprehensively talk about this for tribes. So in the process, I already had this book project, but the title was like Crossing the Digital Divide or something really bland like that. And as I started doing research, I started seeing what other countries were doing with digital sovereignty and what that term meant, both of the good, the bad, and the ugly in that. But what it really made me think of was, we're tribal nations. I work with tribal nations. And when you start thinking about digital sovereignty and digital sovereignty plans, which is proactive planning for, and I'm not even going to show my slides because there's just 5 and I can talk about that. But digital sovereignty is really that umbrella term that overarches all of those aspects of this ecosystem. And so I started thinking, tribes have sovereignty. Started talking to some folks in Indian country, and we started really hashing it out. And we realized that this was an overarching term we could use to talk about all of these aspects as we spoke to tribal leaders and to folks in Indian country. And so that was the birth of the term. It's about a little over a year old. I think last summer we started really talking about it in earnest, and then by the fall we started presenting on it, and by January we started talking about launching the Center for Tribal Digital Sovereignty, and we finally announced that in June. We partnered with the National Congress of American Indians, and we have launched the Center for Tribal Digital Sovereignty. I'll pop it in the chat for you. It's still in process, it's in progress and such. So that's where the concept came from. And, the need for that term, while doing research for the book or talking about this, it just led to all of these things. And it all just sort of fell into place. So tribal digital sovereignty is that umbrella term that overarches both the network and the data sovereignty, all of the infrastructure. It's a way to talk comprehensively. So tribal digital sovereignty is both the information and the physical means by which it transfers, governed by a community's policies and codes that control the data infrastructure and networks. And so data sovereignty, which Lev alluded to, is a big thing right now, certainly with our data. And that's a field that others, that's developing into its own field, but it is a part of an overarching digital sovereignty plan that a tribe might have. Data is what flows through that network. It's intangible. And data sovereignty refers to community controls over how that data is transmitted. And in the health sphere especially, it's starting to translate into, it's morphing into what human subjects review is. It's becoming a part of that process when we talk about research and such. Network sovereignty, of course, refers to the physical infrastructure and the act of deploying networks, and which is really, all of these are processes of implementing tribal self-determination policies. And so digital sovereignty includes the information, the physical means by which it transfers, its governance, its economic plans, and its self-determination. So in June, when we announced our formation of our new center, we also had support of a tribe, and they sponsored a resolution at the National Congress of American Indians, which was thereby adopted, and it is defining tribal digital sovereignty as an act of self-determination. This particular resolution defines this term and all that's with it for Indian country, for the member tribes that work with the National Congress of American Indians, and we work with. And it really just establishes in flowery language a lot of what I just said. It's the tribal sovereignty is the umbrella term that encompasses the exercise of sovereign authority over physical and virtual network infrastructure and the intangible virtual digital jurisdiction aspects of the acquisition, storage, transmission, access, and use of data, including policy developments that impact a tribe's digital footprint in the real world and virtual spaces. Not only that, it also creates a digital footprint and plan for tribal codes for data management and protection, digital equity, network infrastructure, deployment of funding sources, education, healthcare, public safety, law enforcement, and economic and community development, and finally, capacity building. So this is the official, for lack of a better word, this is really the official definition for Indian country now. It has been adopted by the National Congress of American Indians. So most tribes will refer to that as the definition. So to wrap that up, ultimately, tribal nations, each of the 574 are responsible for creating a comprehensive and proactive plan for tribal digital sovereignty as an act of self-governance and self-determination. You might imagine includes all the things we're going to talk about today, all the things that we're talked about here. Certainly digital equity is a huge part of this. It probably is the soul of it in a lot of ways and such. But this is, it's super exciting to me because I've been working in this space for a long time, and for so long, tribes have been an afterthought in this space. But I also saw when I first started working in this space that there was an opportunity to get a seat at the table for tribal nations as we developed this new infrastructure. Because when I started working this, it was still matrix years, it was still internet came over the phone lines then. But we all knew, we started learning what was coming, and we knew that if we pursued the work, we could have a seat at the table. And so now I see that tribal nations are not an afterthought in this space. We're in the same space as everybody else in the room. We are all struggling to build our digital equity plans. We're struggling to find the folks that understand this and are passionate about this to work for us. We all have different types of plans and different needs because community needs are what dictate what we need to build for infrastructure and capacity building. We are in the same space as everybody else. We're no longer an afterthought. We are right here with everybody else facing the same issues. And that's a really different and positive place to be as opposed to behind the 8 ball. So this is what drives our work. Take a look at the page, reach out to me. We're still building this. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting us, and have a great rest of the conference.
Thank you so much, Tracy. We appreciate your input. We're going to hand the mic over to Mignon. Mignon, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you all so much for having me. I was going to wear my digital equity t-shirt today that I just got in the mail on Saturday, and it's lovely. So if you don't have a shirt and you want one, go get them. They're very nice. I have brown hair and brown skin, and I am working from my home today. A lot of what the previous speakers have said, I would just say ditto to. Tracy, I am so happy that, the tribal communities are finally at the table and have a seat. That's just so amazing. And we're hoping that rural communities get there pretty soon too. We still oftentimes feel like we are that afterthought. And so, we have a declined population. I'm from Cochise County. So we have a declined population. We lack resources. And so it's oftentimes just a struggle to have that seat at the table, as Tracy mentioned. And I know that Heather Floyd is on this call as well, and she'll amen that. So we're all over the place, just trying to connect with those resources. I'm from an economic development group first, Arizona Regional Economic Development, but also I'm working with the Benton Foundation on Arizona Broadband for All. And so that's exactly what the name says, is broadband for all, looking at not only accessibility, but affordability. And that's just such a major point of digital equity, right? Is once you have access, you still don't know how to use the internet. And so it goes hand in hand, and it doesn't do you any good if you have access without the understanding and the education that goes back behind it. Currently, what we're doing is we're working with providers in letting them know what our needs are and supporting those providers. And oftentimes it's having those hard conversations with providers saying, hey, we're glad you're in our community, but here's what's still lacking. Hey, glad you're here, but we're getting second-rate internet. Glad you're here, but we can't afford the internet. And so it's always having those constant conversations with the providers. I have to say that we're just so pleased to have such a great relationships with so many of our partners throughout the state. And they are what allows us to have the success that we have. So I encourage people, if you're feeling like you're on the outside of things, make friends with all of these speakers here, with Nicole, with Lev, with Erin. I would not know where I would be without Erin. She's always my big champion. I can make a phone call to Erin. She's like, this is who you need to speak with. This is what you need to do. So we're super excited. One of the things that we'll be able to have pretty soon in Cochise County is a hive. And I can't tell you how excited our community is about having that conversation, that there's a space for people to go. But more than having that space is having that resource and the ability for them to learn in a non-threatening environment on how to operate their devices, and where they can just go in and say, I don't even know how to download my coupons to get my groceries. It's all the things that we oftentimes take for granted that others may know how to do, and that they just don't know how to do. And so having that conversation, and Sarah's part of my team and she's on the call today too, is having those conversations with community members in that a language that they understand, and being able to say, hey, if you have problems doing X, Y, and Z, making your doctor's appointment, accessing your test results, come here and we can help walk you through that process, because that is just, it's really vital. But again, the key to our success has been in these partnerships. And so I just always say partnerships, right? Because we can't be everywhere and we can't solve everything. And so I think for us as an organization, and I think many of people on the same call feel the same way, is you can't do it all. You try to, but there's just no way. And so through those partnerships, you're able to make that difference, and you're able to bring a lot of the resources into your community. And that's really all that I have today. I'm just so glad for the opportunity to be able to participate and to showcase some of the things that our county is working on. And again, I just want to give a shout out to all of the panelists and everybody on this call. Without your dedication, the rural communities, tribal communities, the state of Arizona, we would not be where we are. So thank you all so very much.
Thank you so much, Mignon. We appreciate you joining us today. We're going to hand the mic over to Rachel. Rachel from Cox. How are you today, Rachel?
I'm great. Thank you so much. I am a light-skinned female with long dark hair. I have a maroon shirt, and I am also working out of my home office this morning. While Cox has been invested in bridging the digital divide for over a decade through low-cost internet and affordability programs, innovation labs, partnerships with schools, nonprofits, and local governments, today I want to focus on our expansion efforts and the impact that those have had on the rural communities where we have expanded. So Cox, through both grant funding and our own capital, has been expanding into un- and underserved areas in Arizona for well over 4 years now. And last year, we did a survey of those customers who recently had high-speed internet available to them. And what we learned from those customers is that 86% of them indicated that having the availability of high-speed internet has significantly improved their lives. What's more interesting to me is that high-speed internet is 2 times more likely to improve the education outcomes in children from lower-income homes. So 70% of those respondents from a low-income home said that high-speed internet will improve the test scores of their children, and 87% of those indicated that it would improve their ability to apply for both higher education and vocational schools. And I think what's really important about that second bullet is that that's not only for those students, but the families in those homes as well, who now have the opportunity to apply for vocational schools and higher education. And not only that, but 62% of those respondents were excited about the opportunity to access online jobs and remote work that wasn't previously available to them before high-speed internet was in their community. And finally, I think the one thing that's really a concern for rural communities is urban migration, especially their young folks leaving their communities for better opportunities in larger cities. And 70% of respondents of our survey that were 30 years old or younger indicated that they were more likely to stay in their community now that it had high-speed internet, rather than leave to go to a bigger city and find those opportunities. So if you'd like to learn more about our survey and some of the that data, you can visit coxexpansionimpact.com. But I think that the real message here is that we can't underestimate the impact on rural communities of high-speed internet being brought to their community, both for economic growth and for community growth. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I'm that guy. I put myself on mute. We are now going to have a chat with Mayor Mila. How are you, Mayor?
I'm wonderful. It's great to be here with all of you. My name is Mila Besic. I am the mayor of Superior, Arizona. I was the first female direct elected mayor. I have brown hair with slightly golden highlights. I am a kind of beigey color. I'm of Latina descent and I'm wearing a blue shirt. I'm working from my home, but there's a beautiful background of my hometown, and I am wearing I think I mentioned I'm wearing a blue shirt, and I am wearing my favorite color lipstick, red. I'm excited to be here today. One of the first career opportunities I had returning back to Arizona after starting my own virtual assistant business was talking about the need for high-speed internet in our community of Superior. And we were one of the test sites, even with Pinal County, to determine when Pinal County was going to be completely wireless. We were just going to have so much internet, and it was this big, huge, bold plan. And we actually lost our way along the way, funding money. And this was, way back in the probably late 2000s or before 2010-ish. So we went through some real ups and downs, and we had to go and realize, what did we have access to? And there was some really important fiber lines that would help Superior build some off-ramps. And we continue to struggle today. I'm actually a little bit digitally challenged today, as we have not had adequate Verizon service since about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And this is our second outage like this in the last 30 days. So even though we've come a long way, we are still struggling. So I can't really leave my home office where I have Wi-Fi, because no one can call me, no one can text me. Our wine shop cannot operate because we only use a Verizon hotspot. So internet service is still a challenge for us, having enough access. But what I'm most excited about right now is our partnership with IDEA on our hive here in Superior. Well, we have a lot of good opportunities. I have a lot of people that are aging in place here in Superior, and we love our legacy residents, but we're also challenged with limited services at our senior center that, they need access to purchasing things online. Maybe they need to schedule those doctor's appointments. They need to get their test results. And we find that we do have a need from our staff to help with some of those things. So I am really excited about the opportunity that there will be some training at our hive to help some of our legacy residents. But one of our focus is for Superior has been entrepreneurial development. Superior was hit pretty hard in the 80s and 90s when the mining industry retracted. And now I'm sure you've all heard of Resolution Copper. They are, they're expanding the mine. They're working through this federal permitting. They are building the mine of the future here. It's going to be highly roboticized, lots of technology going to be in use. But we also want to have an economy that is diverse. And so one of our aspects is working on entrepreneurial development. And so we see the hive as an opportunity to continue on and have the entrepreneurial side. The types of equipment that are in the hive we're excited about for our young people who are really into those digital arts and creation. Our school district doesn't always have the equipment or knowledge base, and so we feel this is an extension of school after school to continue on with that, and this will pair well with our workforce training program, as we started a welding program, and a lot of those skills still intersect. So we're very, very excited about the collaboration that we have. But when I first got started talking about broadband internet, I remember speaking, it was probably the Rural Policy Forum before Local First had it. And it was that internet was going to be just as a necessary utility to our communities as having a, well-run wastewater treatment plant or water service. When you have those utilities in your community, they're critically important. And, we have a variety of internet service providers. And I think what's been one of the challenges for rural is that you see some of these smaller areas, smaller companies grow, but they oftentimes don't have the full-on bandwidth that, say, their larger competitors do. We struggle with the price of what internet costs. And that's why we're really excited about the Hive, is that we often see our young people sitting in front of the Resolution Copper Main Street office or sitting in front of our library at night because they know how to access those Wi-Fi networks. And so we're hoping that these little small steps in the meantime are going to help continue to build out our internet infrastructure. And of course, we're really excited. We've been working with WeCom over the last year and their private investment, and looking forward to seeing how BEAD dollars can come our way. What we found when some of the first rounds of broadband funding is that Superior actually had just enough for the federal requirements of internet. It was like, oh, well, you don't really qualify because there's so many other communities that have less than you do. And that's definitely the truth. But we were glad to see that broadband expansion go, so that way we would qualify for some of that broadband funding. But again, it is a challenge. I would love to have even more options in our community, but we're getting there. And I would just be happy if my Verizon worked correctly today. And I think that's it. Sorry, my phone's going crazy here.
No worries. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. And we'll be seeing lots more of you over the next few months as we build out the Hive in Superior.
Yes, we're definitely looking forward to the Hive, and we announced that last week. But again, I think we all struggle, and I think the biggest advice I gave at our cities and towns conference is that if your community is wanting to have the high-speed internet, if you're wanting to do this, get that permitting and everything in line, so that way when those providers come in, they can work easily through your system and really being ready to accept it, because we all need it. And I know our state's going to work very hard to make sure that even our most rural and remote places have the proper internet service. But we've got a lot of work to do, and it helps to collaborate. And we're always happy to share our story with any communities or leaders. If you have questions on how we've done a few things, we're more than happy to partner with you, or at least have a discussion.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Good to see you again. We were there in Superior last week, so we appreciate you hosting us.
Thank you.
We're going to switch over to Derek from Sun Corridor Network. How are you, Derek?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you.
Good, good. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Thanks to IDEA for putting on this exciting event and bringing all of these powerful speakers together. Mayor Besic, that's the advice to do everything you can to make your community kind of broadband friendly or provider friendly in terms of construction. Like, that is just incredibly sound advice. I very much appreciate it. To get started, my name is Derek Masseth. I'm the executive director of the Sun Corridor Network. I am a white male of European descent. I have long brown hair that I wear in a ponytail. I'm speaking from my home this morning for the first time in, I think, 2.5 weeks. But there's a beautiful background behind me that our marketing folks have put together. So Sun Corridor Network is a bit unique in the broadband provider space. We are a collaboration of the 3 state universities, Arizona State University, Northern Arizona University, and the University of Arizona, founded in 2013, with a focus really on meeting the needs of our state universities, of municipalities, of K-12 schools, libraries, and other public sector entities. And in that vein, our desire really is to reach and meet the needs of every learner and educator in Arizona, in this space from a digital inclusion perspective. We consider kind of everyone a learner, right? If we kind of lean on Lev's words earlier, we're all learning to cross the digital divide in some way, and it just continues to, as digital continues to advance, society's need to continue to advance lines up with our learner mission every day of the week. So proud to be here, proud to be IDEA's partner in terms of networking. So the hives that have been so fondly spoken of today, we are the proud internet service provider and Wi-Fi provider in those facilities. And that partnership really comes from the Maricopa County Broadband Initiative that Lev spoke of earlier. Proud to be partnered with them on As One and all of the various ASU, IDEA, and Sun Corridor Network activities. Inside of that grant, was delighted to hear Rachel speak earlier from Cox. Cox has been an amazing partner. We've been able to provide some grant dollars to help them expand in 3 neighborhoods in the East Valley of Phoenix. Again, this is a Maricopa County initiative, so those monies stayed in county. We're also helping them get to Whitman and working with another last mile partner in the Phoenix area to deliver some to and through. That's 2, where we bring connectivity to a school, and then through that school's connectivity, we deliver into a neighborhood or neighborhoods in the valley. Happy to do more of that, but we're certainly working with Triad in a mobile home park. Excited to announce within the middle mile scope of that initiative that we recently acquired fiber along Highway 60, leaving Phoenix, heading up the 60, going ultimately all the way to Las Vegas, but through Morristown and Whitman and Aguila and Wickenburg, and we'll be enabling provider partners to serve those communities all along that route. And we intend to, or have very concrete plans to expand that program along the I-10 going west, and then going south into Gila Bend. And so stay tuned for those announcements. Very, very exciting. And that's the highlight probably of that initiative. Again, I'll just say that Sun Corridor Network is here as a community resource, right? Our focus is statewide through the lens of our founding universities. We operate in every county in the state. We've been actively engaged in Yuma County, actively engaged obviously in Maricopa, in Pima, in Cochise, in Coconino, and anxious to help any county get connectivity to any and every learner and educator out there. We've equally been, I know my time is up, so I'll make this comment and then excited to learn from Paul about everything WeCom is doing. So thanks again.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Derek. We're going to have a chat with Paul. Paul, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you. That's a lot of pressure, Derek. I'm
You're
not
up
sure
to
that
it,
was
Paul.
I'm not sure that was necessary at all. I am Paul Fleming. I am Caucasian. I have brown. Well, all right, fine. I have gray hair with a little brown left in it. I wear glasses. I'm on a blue dress shirt, and I'm coming to you from the Auction Casino, Harris Casino, at the CSA Summit. So, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I do have the honor of serving as the CEO of WeCom. We are an internet service provider with a proud long heritage of over 68 years serving the state of Arizona. We've always remained steadfast in our commitment to delivering high-speed, reliable, affordable internet to communities throughout Arizona. I appreciate Rachel from Cox. She did a great job touching on a lot of the very important statistics kind of related to rural communities. I did have a few of those in my talking points, but I'm going to skip those and we'll get done a little bit quicker. But WeCom does try to operate with a certain motto. We continue to pass this around through our company that where you live should not determine the availability of broadband or reliable internet service. You should be able to receive it regardless of where you live at. At WeCom, we talk about the digital inclusion and what it means to individuals. You know, that individuals need a robust broadband connection. It's kind of four, I would say, pillars that we look at from a service provider side and areas that we think we can help participate in, which is you need access to this high speed, reliable internet. And that's really, I would say, where we shine at. We build the actual physical infrastructure. You need devices that help you participate in the digital world. You need to have education and literacy, and you need to have some sort of physical tech or digital navigator to help you navigate through a lot of this education, literacy, and cybersecurity and so forth. All four of these are pillars that we believe that service providers can help participate in. Now, I agree with what was said earlier that, you know, really this is something that's going to continue to evolve over time. We're hoping from our end that the physical infrastructure we can start to close that gap, start to close that digital divide, and then participate as time goes on in the continual evolution of digital equality and inclusion. Over the last, I'd say, if we just talk about the last 3 or 4 years, WeCom's been involved in a number of really exciting projects. The Arizona Broadband Development Grant, which I did almost use the acronym, so I don't have to put money in the swear jar, so I'm pretty happy about that. It's a $45 million bill that's serving around 15,000 all underserved and unserved households in Mojave and La Paz County. We are participating in the USDA Reconnect grant, which is a $3.2 million bill to bring internet services to the Wallapai tribe for the first time. So we're building over 100 miles of fiber just to get to the Wallapai tribe, and it's a very exciting project. With Yavapai County, we're doing a $21 million project to build 6,500 homes to under and underserved locations. Also working with the town of Superior, as the mayor mentioned, the Casa Grande Airport, the Kingman Industrial Park, recently won the Coconino County RFP and the Flagstaff RSOQ. So we'll be breaking ground and building fiber throughout Flagstaff starting very soon. Throughout this, I would say, flurry of activity, we've learned a number of valuable lessons. And one I would say is the importance of providers taking on responsibility. There's a lot of talk about everything that the IDA is doing and the fantastic hives and everything that have been developing. I think that's amazing. But often the providers don't participate as much as we think that we can to really help push the entire digital divide or close the digital divide and help the digital equality and inclusion move forward. And so that's something that really I would like to be able to kind of just put out there for everyone to think about, is that the providers themselves can do a great job working within the communities, the libraries, with the counties, the mayors and so forth, on being the participants in helping this happen. So we appreciate being invited to the conversation, and hopefully over time we can continue to evolve these ideas going forward. But we're here for any, I would say, discussions or questions or so forth. And we've got a lot of exciting opportunities and builds that we plan on working with the entire team to make sure that they do everything they can to create an affordable program that helps kind of close this digital divide as we go forward. That's really all I had from my end. I think Rachel kind of stole the statistics and did a fantastic job with that. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Paul. We are going to ask one more question of you and take a quick break while we're doing that and collecting answers. So what do you think? We've heard about a lot of projects that are in the works. What do you think our broadband initiatives are that should be prioritized in 2025? You can just put that in the chat and we'll give you a moment, and then we will come back and speak with our next set of speakers. Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the chat. And before we move on, I'm going to teach you a quick trick that I learned from the amazing Margaret Atwood, who I had the honor of doing an 8-week fellowship with. And she came up with a technique for us to refresh ourselves and get the blood flowing back to our brain. So I will teach you that, which she taught me. So we're going to start by pounding our chest a little bit. We get the blood flowing here. Then we rub our ears from bottom to top. There we go. And then we rub our head just a little bit. And then we stretch up our arms. And there we go. We have the blood flowing where it needs to be in our brains. Excellent. Okay. Moving on, we are going to hear from several of our friends that are out in the world being guides for those who are trying to navigate the digital world. And before I hand the mic over to Francisco, I wanted to give a shout out to all of the folks that are joining us, our digital navigators there at Hives around the city. So if our digital navigators could give us a wave. There we go. So I know we have some folks here in Guadalupe, we have some folks over in Tempe, and some other folks that are over in our Arizona location. So thank you all for joining us. And we are going to kick it over to Francisco. How are you today?
Hello, Stephanie. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. My name is Francisco Estevez, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. I am a digital navigator with IDEA, and since I started with this awesome group of people, this organization, I feel fortunate to be part of this organization. I worked in the healthcare industry, the insurance industry for some time, and a couple of years ago, I decided to switch to a tech-related career. And so I went back to school, started the job hunt, and I was fortunate enough to land the digital navigator role with IDEA. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I knew this was a tech-based role, but I quickly realized that more importantly, it's a people-based role. So, as you all know, this is all about the people, helping people, guiding people, fueling their excitement for when they discover how to use new technologies. That's what our goals are and our vision is about. Some of the events where I've witnessed the greatest impact are our iPad 101 senior events, in which we guided them through the setup process, introduced them to apps such as educational or health apps, and general online safety. Now, navigating the digital world can be a scary place for seniors, for anyone, but especially when you throw the words artificial intelligence around. These days, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and our goal is to set the record straight about some of these technologies. Seniors can be skeptical about new technologies, but when we've shown them how it can be used as a tool, we found that they really actually enjoy it. At one of our events for seniors, where they were using AI, they were looking up new recipes, meal plans, exercise programs, even getting creative with poems and digital art. And so I've been talking a lot about seniors, and the only reason I do that is because we all know that in comparison to other generations who grew up with tech, seniors are often the generation getting left behind. However, learning new technologies is important for everyone, which is why we also have some events geared towards kids and teens. We have an upcoming Sphero camp next week in which we have the kiddos learning basic coding commands. Spheros are small robotic spheres that are remotely controlled through an app on an iPad or a tablet. And so we're going to have them try out their new coding skills, such as guiding the Sphero with an attached chariot that holds a marker so that they can draw on the ground, a racetrack with obstacles, tunnels, and even ramps, which I'm really excited about. And the last thing I want to mention is our telehealth services. Currently, I am sitting in our telehealth room here at our Hive location in Tempe, Arizona. And I just realized I didn't describe myself. I'm a light brown skinned person of Mexican American background, with mostly black and some gray hairs in there, you know, and I'd say quote unquote young man, which is up for debate here in Tempe, Arizona. But yeah, so our room here, our telehealth room at the Hive here in Tempe, we have a super comfortable chair here, natural colored lighting, some nice decor. We have some devices here, such as blood pressure monitors, a digital scale. They can check their pulse, but most importantly, using a telehealth room such as this provides them the privacy and security for their telehealth appointments. This telehealth room is convenient for those who need to ask their physicians a question or a follow-up appointment, an initial consultation, or any type of appointment where it isn't necessary for them to be there in person, saving them the time and the hassle of having to, drive through the terrible Phoenix traffic or public transportation or anywhere where they might be using telehealth. We know that many people experience using telehealth services during the pandemic, and have expressed positive experiences using telehealth. However, some have also expressed concerns about online security, especially when sharing health information and accessing health records. So we, as digital navigators, we can offer guidance on how to use technology securely, including password management, as well as visiting and recognizing legitimate websites online. And if someone has never used telehealth, we're happy to guide them through the process of setting up and ensuring how to use the technology themselves. And we can offer telehealth participants one-on-one assistance in an effort to change that negative perception of technology and help them feel confident that in accessing their digital health records and services. And so that's pretty much all the time I have. Thank you again for your time. It's exciting to be a part of this, and I look forward to the next one. And with that, Stephanie, I hand it back to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Francisco. Good to see you virtually. We are going to kick it over to Anthony, who is with Connect AZ. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing really good. Thank you, Stephanie. It was great to hear from Francisco. I'm here to talk to you today about Connect Arizona. It's the digital navigator program that I coordinate with the state library. I'll just start off by describing myself. I'm a white male with brown hair. I'm wearing a green button-up shirt. I'm coming to you from my home today, and I'm the digital inclusion library consultant with the Arizona State Library, Archives, and Public Records. So as I mentioned, Connect Arizona is our digital inclusion initiative. It was launched in 2020 using Library Services and Technology Act grant funds. And Connect was really established to address the three legs of the digital inclusion stool, those being affordable internet, access to devices, and digital literacy skills. So the heart of Connect Arizona is our team of digital navigators. These are individuals from all over Arizona who are trained to provide one-on-one phone assistance and technology support. They're available for live support Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Anyone in Arizona can call in and receive free support over the phone. You can also reach us via text or email, or you can meet with the navigators over Zoom. And on the Connect Arizona website, there's also a form you can fill out to schedule an appointment. So our navigators provide all kinds of support. This includes tutoring on computers, the internet, devices, navigating websites and software, finding tech learning resources, troubleshooting with devices and software, finding internet offers and deals, and they also assist in researching low-cost and free devices, online resources, and free public Wi-Fi. So in order to support the work of our navigators, we've made an online hub as well at connect-arizona.com. And this is really a center for digital inclusion resources. So today I'll just run through quickly some of the resources we offer on our website. We know that affordability is one major barrier to broadband access. And one great resource we offer is a list of low-cost internet offers so that anyone can browse through and see what's available in their area. We also have a free public Wi-Fi map. This is an interactive Google map of Arizona, which you can use to locate free publicly available Wi-Fi, whether that's a library, a school, or any other organization. Of course, you need a device to access the internet. So Connect Arizona has made a page where you can browse through different organizations that provide affordable or even free devices for individuals as well as nonprofits and other organizations. Digital literacy is at the core of our work, and to support that, we host a compilation of tech help videos. These are available in English and Spanish, and they cover everything from downloading library books with Libby to learning Microsoft Word to creating a Gmail account and using Zoom. We have North Star Digital Literacy. This is a platform we subscribe to, which offers digital skills and technology training that's free to the public, online, and self-paced. This is really great for people who want a more structured, course-based approach to learning. Another notable feature of the Connect site is the Arizona Digital Inclusion Directory. This is a searchable inventory of tech training classes, public computing centers, tech support, and digital inclusion practitioners. And I also want to mention our community data page. So basically, we've created a digital equity profiles for each county in Arizona. And you can look up and see what the percentage of households are that don't have internet, the percentage that only have cellular data, the percentage with no computers, etc. So as far as challenges, since we're a fully remote service currently, we're unfortunately not able to reach all of the individuals who need our help. And in addition to that, while most of our site is available in English and Spanish, we are limited in the number of navigators who are bilingual. So I think that that's a population that we could improve our service to. And then as far as successes go, I would say that outreach and marketing has really allowed Connect navigators to reach those in need. And even early on in the program, at the end of our first grant reporting term, our free Wi-Fi map had been viewed 85,000 times. The Connect Arizona website had over 19,000 visitors, and digital navigators had served 174 callers. And today we continue to support clients all over the state. And I know my time is up, so I will end there and say thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Anthony. We appreciate it. We're going to chat now with Michael. Michael, how are you today?
Doing great. Thanks so much. I'm just really enjoyed the comments from Francisco, really from everyone, but Francisco and Anthony, really great resources that just look forward to, collaborating with you both in the future. So I'm Michael Holcomb. I'm the interim director for the Arizona Telemedicine Program, and I also serve as the principal investigator for the Southwest Telehealth Resource Center, which is funded by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources Services Administration, Office for the Advancement of Telehealth. That's like a mouthful, but need to acknowledge our funders, so for sure. I'm connecting from my home office, Northwest Tucson today. I'm white male with brown and gray hair, or at least kind of what's left of it, and I wear glasses and I'm wearing a blue button-up shirt. So thank you all for the opportunity to speak with you today. Hopefully the information I have here will be helpful and foster some future collaborations. The Arizona Telemedicine Program's primary goal is to advance telemedicine telehealth capabilities in Arizona to improve access to healthcare for and enhance healthcare delivery to medically underserved populations throughout the state. Additional goals include promoting the use of broadband telecommunications, providing healthcare organizations and professionals throughout Arizona with information, training, and expertise, and supporting improved health outcomes in medically underserved communities through the dissemination of healthcare education and information. The Southwest Health Resource Center provides generally at no cost subject matter expertise in telemedicine, telehealth, and technical assistance, primarily to healthcare providers, but it's really open to anyone. And this is throughout Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, and the Four Corners region. So quickly, how does telehealth relate to digital inclusion? Telehealth can make healthcare more accessible when people have the necessary resources that you're all familiar with: compatible devices, internet connectivity, requisite capabilities in terms of digital and health literacy, so that they can be successful in utilizing it. However, when those resources and capabilities are not adequate or available, telehealth might have become the only effective way for the particular healthcare service to be delivered or offered. That telehealth itself can actually be a barrier to care. So quickly, the Centers for Disease Control defines health equity as the concept that everyone, regardless of their background, income, or zip code, should have the opportunity to live a healthy life. Digital inclusion has been called a super social determinant of health. So what can we do? Providers specifically can enhance the equity of clinical telehealth services by intentionally including resources and accessibility features that support and enable their patients' use of telehealth services and technology. Some examples are assessing patients' readiness for telehealth services in terms of their skills and ability to access technology and broadband, their preferences and level of comfort or trust with healthcare delivery via telehealth, providing assistive technology resources for patients that need them, providing simple instructions and guidance to make it easy for patients to successfully use telehealth, offering the accompanying training, assistance, and technical support. Everyone's probably heard this quote that's attributed to Einstein of saying, make things as simple as possible, but not simpler. Making live language interpretation services available, developing equity and inclusion and skills and experiences within the healthcare team. So including cultural sensitivity and competency, creating connections to the local community, experience working with underserved patient groups and so on, deploying and utilizing technologies that support equity. So there's a lot of hype about AI, but has that system been trained on a data set that adequately represents the patient's demographic? Is it reliable in its output? Eliciting feedback from stakeholders, the patients, about their experiences in using the telehealth system to help improve it. Communities can improve telehealth equity, and I know I've got about 30 seconds left, so I'm going to skip through some of this. By developing the resources that we just heard about, so I'm not going to repeat all the digital navigators. And then we have a resource I did want to point out that's called Find Telehealth that we partnered on with another telehealth resource center that maps in-person as well as telehealth healthcare providers in the state of Arizona. And that's searchable by distance from a particular location. And finally, if I can go a few seconds over, just want to invite everyone here to the next quarterly Arizona Telemedicine Council virtual meeting. That's on October 16th. I'll put the link for the agenda and everything in the chat. And finally, we work with anyone and are always looking for opportunities to collaborate with new and existing partners. I look forward to learning more about each of your digital inclusion initiatives, and thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Michael. We're going to pass it over to Michelle. Michelle, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak with you all. My name is Michelle Simon. I am the director of Pima County's Office of Digital Inclusion. I am a female with shoulder length, blondish brown hair and glasses. I am of European descent, and I am wearing a olive colored shirt, and I'm sitting in my office currently. I'm in the section here where it talks about essential guides along the journey. And I am really fascinated by the work that is happening with IDEA and Connect Arizona related to digital navigators. And we in Pima County have a digital navigator program as well. But I want to take a little bit of a different spin on being essential guides. So prior to this role, the Office of Digital Inclusion, this is the very first Office of Digital Inclusion for Pima County, and it was established last August in 2023. So prior to this role, I was the Deputy Director of Support Services for the Pima County Public Library. And I was responsible for technology and the collections and all of our facilities and helping people to connect to the internet and resources as appropriate. And of course, as you all know, when COVID hit, a lot of our libraries had to close. So those stories of people sitting in our parking lots, accessing the internet, those were real stories. Those were people in our community that were struggling to be connected. So we implemented a variety of things in Pima County, starting with the Connect Pima Task Force, which was a coalition of community-based organizations, all of our local municipalities, and internet service providers to come together and create the county's very first digital equity and digital infrastructure and inclusion action plan. And what that plan did was really established the goals for our county and what we were going to focus on, which you all have heard, you know, are the basic tenets of digital inclusion, looking at access to broadband infrastructure, access to devices, tools, and the appropriate resources, as well as opportunities for digital skill building. And that would be inclusive of digital navigator programs. This work resulted in us actually getting an enabling middle mile broadband infrastructure grant for about $30 million, and then getting support from Comcast and their Project Up to really move forward our digital navigator program here in Pima County. We are providing all services in English and in Spanish. And along with that, we will be hosting classes, which we're calling a Learn to Earn series of classes, where people will actually get a laptop at the end of their classroom experience. So we're very excited about everything that is happening here, but the navigator piece that I enjoy the most in our office is really helping to connect people to other organizations in the community, because we don't do this alone. This work is done by everyone in the community. So being able to refer them to Michael or to Anthony or to Francisco, or to talk about what's happening in Cochise County or Santa Cruz County, and helping people connect in that way, but also for Pima County to be good neighbors and really leverage what it is that we're doing here to help the counties that surround us, is really an important part of our mission. And making sure that when we're helping people in the community, that we do it in a way that it's that warm handoff, that we're giving them to someone and having a conversation with that person, and making sure that people are continuing on in getting the resources that they need. So they're included and not excluded. So I thank you guys very much for the time today, and I'll pass it back to Steph.
Thank you so much. We are now going to transition to our next topic, which is community anchors. This is near and dear to my heart as the head of community activation. And these folks actually help us make things happen, which is fantastic to have boots on the ground and insights from the community. So with that, I will pass it over to Alana. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing great. My name is Elena Lowry. I am the Arizona director for Common Sense Media. And let me describe, let's see, I am a white female of Eastern Europe descent. I am wearing a awesome State 48 Digital Inclusion Week t-shirt from Arizona. And my background is again, a marketing, common sense, funky green with lots of colors background, but I am in my home office with my yellow lab at my feet, which I just love. So with that, I was going to share a deck and realized that would just take me entirely too much time to go through. So I am just going to talk a little bit. Actually, what I'm going to do is level set a little bit about Common Sense. So we are a nonprofit. We are a leading nonprofit, a national nonprofit with operations here in Arizona. And we really are dedicated to improving the lives of kids and families. And we do that by providing trustworthy information, education, and that independent voice that they need to thrive in the 21st century. And so we stand for, media choice, digital equity, digital literacy and citizenship, tech accountability, and a healthy childhood. So that's a lot of stuff. And the reason I wanted to level set is because I've worked with a lot of organizations that are on the call today. And in some cases, those of you I haven't met may never have heard of us. And so I wanted to just kind of let you all know who we are and why we're so involved in this particular space. So, as a nonprofit, we believe in media that inspires and entertains families, which is great. We all want that. Technology that protects privacy and supports our communities, and then learning tools that can prepare students, educators, and families for success in our connected world. So we all know why digital equity and inclusion matters. We've talked about healthcare, and we've talked about workforce development, using government services, our communities, of course, education, and then a big one is civic engagement. And of course, we're coming up on a very important election. So we focus on parents, caregivers, educators, primarily in low-income communities. All of our materials are in English and Spanish, so we are able to reach out to folks in other communities here across Arizona and some marginalized communities. We try to bridge that language barrier, and then also really reach out to those who don't often have access to these resources. And I have some statistics. I want to tell you why. And the challenges in particular, is with technology is why we advocate for youth. And these challenges, as we know, are impacting their daily lives, all of our daily lives, our educational opportunities, mental health, our overall well-being. And there were some statistics that I wanted to share because I couldn't believe them when I saw them myself. The average age that a kid gets their first smartphone is 11, and that's trending downward. The average 12 is the average age of exposure that kids have to pornography. Teens receive about 237 notifications a day, 4 per minute during their waking hours. And 42% of students in our research who felt persistently sad or hopeless, and 29% experienced poor mental health. Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because earlier Lev talked about the future, and he talked about youth, and he talked about the human piece of what we're all involved in. And so with that, and also echoing Mignon, access to the internet doesn't necessarily mean success. It's one of the pillars, it's one of the legs of the stool. And technology changes so rapidly, as we know, that Common Sense is really trying to stay out front of the next wave of this technology. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how we're doing that. And, our regional partnership model, is super important to us. So, we have worked with IDEA now for a little over a year, very closely. And we have done a number of different things to try to get our resources out to the community, and talking about, expanding that reach into, underserved and unserved communities through the tech hubs, the hives, I'm sorry, to help families access online safety and literacy resources, that they really need to continue their education, to learn, to work, to thrive. And so we are providing families with easy to understand tips and resources that are free, all free. And we worked with IDEA on a safety campaign, an online safety campaign, that was very successful. We hope to continue that work. Had I showed you our wonderful slides, you would have seen some great photos of the hives and examples of the ad campaign. But like I said, it's really long. And so I'm not gonna go through that. Oops. But I did want to, talk a little bit about our lovely and wonderful partners who are on the call, because this is all about working with community anchors. And so it's been super important to us to work with a lot of anchors, including the State Broadband Office, which I guess is kind of an anchor, I don't know. But also, the City of Phoenix, the Arizona Attorney General's Office, ASU, the state libraries, and then, some of our community partnerships with organizations like Chicanos por la Causa and the Arizona Digital Inclusion Network, United Way, AZ Strut. I saw Mariana on the call, as well as Cox and First Things First and Compudon. We've really done everything. We really do everything with the idea that if we can get our resources into the hands of digital navigators and into the hands of the community, that we can certainly help. And we know that by working together with these great community partners, that we are making a difference. It might be for us one family or one classroom or one child at a time, but everybody deserves an equal opportunity to benefit from this technology. I know we've talked about AI, we've talked about cybersecurity, and I just want you all to know that we have a ton of free resources. I have them all listed out. Perhaps Stephanie can share the slide deck that I did prepare with everybody on the call, and there's links to tools for navigators, tools for your community groups. They can be used to make sure that this technology is being used safely, that it's being used responsibly, and more important, that it's being impactful. So that's all I have. I'm happy to connect with anybody who is interested in our resources. And Stephanie, if you're able to, to share the deck or share the resources after this, you're welcome to those.
Absolutely. Thank you. So Elena has a deck that I will share. If anyone else has a deck that they'd like me to share or any kind of information or links, feel free to put those in the chat and I will collect them and send them out to the group. Now we're going to welcome Kyle to the stage, who is joining us from all the way at the other end of the hallway here in Guadalupe. And welcome, Kyle.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Kyle Mitchell. For an audience who is visually impaired, I am a Native American male. I have black hair, short chopped with a lazy comb over. I am wearing a striped shirt, and I am here in Guadalupe, Arizona, in our South Mountain campus. So a step further than that, I am Dene, which is Navajo. So I'd like to introduce myself. Yate, She, Kyle Mitchell, Yinshia, Twitachini, Nishle, Nakai Busichin, K Ani Dashiche, Nakai Dashinala, Kiltsui Bitwa, Aldo Cheshna Dozi Denasha. So hello, everybody. Like I said, my name is Kyle Mitchell. I'm a program manager for South Mountain Community College. I report to our vice president of academic affairs. And part of my role is overseeing our extended campus here in Guadalupe. So I want to give just a little bit of history with Guadalupe. Guadalupe is called the town of three flowers because it was started 50 years ago in February, actually, with three populations. One was the Pasco Yaqui tribe coming up north. The other one was the Hispanic population here. And then the third group was the migrant workers. A lot of the history of Guadalupe is interlaced with the history of SRP here in the valley. Once they started making the canal systems, a lot of the workers worked here or lived here in Guadalupe. And so through the course of history, that's kind of where they have been. So Guadalupe is a small town, less than a square mile. We're located just in between, I tell everybody, between Arizona Mills and IKEA, our Costco, like right there in that little sweet area. Yeah, I see some smiles, so everybody knows where we are. There's exactly 1,200 homes in the community. It's a low income social economic community, much like you would see in a rural community. The hard thing about Guadalupe is it's not a municipality, it's a township. So a lot of the services come through the county, which can make it a little difficult here and there, especially when bringing different initiatives. One thing about, I'll speak a little bit about is the impact of the pandemic. Obviously, that was felt throughout the world. But here in Guadalupe, there was not the infrastructure for technology and accessibility that we're talking about today. So once the pandemic happened, a lot of our students were using, just like it was mentioned, in front of the library as well as in front of our colleges, we have free Wi-Fi. So we would look out in the security cams and you would see anywhere from 12 to 24 students just hanging out on the sidewalk and doing their homework. In addition to that, once we started returning back into our spaces with limited access, we started talking here in Guadalupe with the different organizations, being the Frank Elementary, Chicano por la Casa, the Pascua Yaqui Tribe, and then the town of Guadalupe. And really kind of talking about what does it look like and how we're going to get support for the families who are in need. Support being food securities, right? How are we going to get food to everybody? The other thing was making sure that utilities were still on and working. And the last thing was access to technology. How are they going to do their homework? How are they going to do all these different things? And so when we sat down with the parent committee from the elementary school, we asked them, how can we support? What can we do? A lot of them said, I need help on basically logging into my students' online portal. Like, I've never done it before. I don't know how to tutor online. I don't know how to do all these different things. And so we just started talking and working through that, triaging that. And then a few years ago, Aaron and Sun Corridor, I know I just can't think of the names right now, but they approached the town of Guadalupe and said, how can we help and what can we do? And during that time, in kind of the history of Guadalupe, with the three populations coming together, we kind of took that similar approach. So IDEA with Aaron came in, Sun Corridor approach, and then South Mountain Community College, all to come together to help the community. And so over the course of the past year, we've been going back and forth, and we finally got to a place to where we opened our own hive here in Guadalupe, and it comes in a much needed time for the community to help them kind of rebuild their new normal and create new futures. The reason why I say that is we worked with our Chicano por la Casa youth group. There was about 20 of them, and the digital navigators here at the Hive were able to help them and walk them through the iPad 101 and really give that to them. And to give that type of technology and accessibility to a child who comes from a social low income economic background, the possibilities are endless. And so now we're looking forward on organizing workshops that will help students use the full potential of the iPads and really maybe start doing some community engagement or community projects around that area. And so one of the other things I think that's on the horizon that we're going to look at right now is Guadalupe. It's a small town, less than a square mile, like I said, but there's a different wiring. So if you go south of Guadalupe, everything is wired with cable. If you go north of Guadalupe, everything is broadband or still dial up in some areas. So infrastructure is definitely one of those areas that needs to be looked at. I know, and it's hard, again, Guadalupe not being a municipality and being a township, it's hard to advocate with some of the partners on getting the much needed resources here. And so APC went away recently, so we're seeing a big influx of our senior population coming, looking for assistance, whether that be telehealth, whether that be navigating their benefits, or even just accessing their accounts, right? Checking to see their money and do different things like that. And so I just wanted to give a quick update on what we're doing and what we're trying to bring to the residents here within Guadalupe and the community. And I'm thankful for IDEA, I'm thankful for Aaron, and I'm thankful for Stephanie and all of their work and their leadership on bringing the Hive here and expanding it. And the digital navigators with their community sensitivity is amazing. They're part of the community now and they're definitely known. So with that, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Kyle. We appreciate it. Moving over to Mikhail. Mikhail, how are you today?
Sorry, just a moment. There we go. Now I'm unmuted.
Excellent. Do you want to share slides?
Yes, if that's okay. Thank
Okay.
you. All right. Yeah. So thanks everybody for allowing or giving me just a moment to highlight our platform. I'm just going to, oh goodness, sorry about the delay here. Okay. So yeah, Digital Inclusion Week from Digital Connect. My name is Mikhail Sundest, and for those who are visually impaired, I am Native American male with dark hair and a green shirt and a little bit of a goatee. And I am the executive director of Digital Connect, which I just wanted to share a little bit of our mission real quick, which is we try to keep it simple. Our mission is to help people improve their quality of life using modern technology. And we try to keep it broad because as we've learned over the past couple of years that we've been in operation, that everybody has unique needs. And so we want to be very adaptable to everybody's needs. So, but our vision, I think, is really part of what makes us unique because we are based in the Gila River Indian community. And so what we envision is a flourishing, self-sufficient indigenous community that is in command of technological advancements and uses current and emerging technologies to achieve holistic prosperity that is also consistent with our heritage of innovation and industriousness and in keeping with our culture and traditional values. So it's a mouthful, but what we really want to touch on there is bridging the past and the future. Bridging all of the while we are bridging the digital divide, we are also keeping our connection to our heritage. And if anybody knows anything about the O'odham people that were called this land home for centuries, they were very industrious and innovative and created a canal system that the Salt River Project sort of based a lot of its canal system on. So just kind of carrying that tradition into the future. I do want to highlight my team, which is Amanda McDonald, Carmen Baldwin Ortega, and Tyler Smith. Amanda's our program manager. She runs two of the programs that I'll talk about in a minute here. Carmen is our community liaison who keeps us connected with pretty much everything that's going on in Gila River. And Tyler is our digital navigator. So what does DCI do? I think everybody's probably seen this framework before. We're moving from the digital divide toward digital equity, or as some would call it, what I'm sort of slowly making the transition to is digital sovereignty for tribal nations, because it's not just achieving parity, but achieving a sense of independence and autonomy, and as I said in our vision statement, being in command of our future. I like to still use this sort of three pillar framework for digital equity when I introduce the topic to folks in my community. Everybody on this call has probably seen something like this before, but when I'm in the community, a lot of folks, when I say things like digital equity or digital divide or digital inclusion, I get blank stares. And so I like to try to break it down as much as possible according to these three categories. And everything that we do in Gila River, we try to link back to one of these pillars and how are we impacting people's lives through this framework. I've mentioned Gila River Indian Community quite a bit. We actually work for Gila River Telecommunications, which is the phone and internet provider that is owned and operated by Gila River. So the tribe for 36 years has been enacting a degree or a form of digital sovereignty by providing its own telecommunications services. But if we were to look at that pillar, this really addresses the first pillar, which is the connectivity, and the GRTI created Digital Connect as an initiative to address the second and third pillars, as well as the first when it comes to like affordability and public Wi-Fi. Again, I'll talk about that in just a moment. And I like to think about our work as being in conjunction with GRTI's customer service department, because we are very customer facing in Gila River. We engage with our GRTI customers frequently. And we also have a lot to do with GRTI's marketing initiatives, like, for example, promoting our fiber to the home campaign. So and ACP and all these other things when they were, active. So we really work closely with other departments in GRTI to serve our community members. I like to think about DCI's work according to 4 core functions. And the foundation of it all, I couldn't find a nice pyramid graphic, so we're getting a quadrant graphic, but whatever. The foundation is really digital skills training in the top left corner. And so everything we do, is built on this foundation of providing digital skills training in the community. But then I'll talk a little bit about the other 3 quadrants. So here are some examples of the programs that we offer that I would categorize as primarily digital skills training. We have our digital navigator. We have senior planet classes. We've been licensed by AARP to provide that training. We provide training to the urban members, especially the urban elders in our community, in partnership with a tribally run nonprofit called Warriors Code. And we just this past year, started providing a new service called Pro Skills, which is a way to upskill employees in things like Microsoft Suite. So in the future, we're looking at keeping those things going and also doing more work with the schools in our community, continuing to expand and improve our device distribution program, and building the next generation of tech warriors. And there's a question mark there because it's more of a proposal, but something that we want to explore for the future. So I just wanted to take a moment to highlight visually some of the programs that we do. This is our Senior Planet program, for example, working with the elders in our community. This is in District 1. In District 3, we provided a Getting Creative with Canva class, and some of our elders, they just had a really fun time creating calendars and name tags and posters and all kinds of fun things in Canva. Give them a sense or an opportunity to be creative with the computer and do things that they maybe haven't done in the past. These are our urban elders in downtown Phoenix. We've done quite a few online safety trainings with them, but also things that are more like we did a coupon class and helped them learn how to use coupons at Safeway, Fry's, and Walmart. Because they always, now everything's digital on your coupons, and so it can be sort of overwhelming. And we tried to break that down. The elders in District 5 were so grateful for the class that they invited us to participate in some chair volleyball, which was a fun day because that's one of their main events is chair volleyball. It keeps them active. And then this is from one of our youth-oriented trainings over spring break this past spring. We were teaching them about fiber networks and why GRTI is so important in the community. In addition to all the digital skills training, we have several additional services that fall into these other categories of economic advancement, STEM education, and heritage preservation. And that would be, our digital inclusion study. This is helping us to determine the future of digital equity work in the community. An apprenticeship program with our sister company, Native Technology Solutions, which is providing career opportunities in the fiber construction field. Devices for public use, which is basically improving access to devices in the community. Public Wi-Fi project, which we just announced yesterday. If you follow us on social media, you'll see a video of us introducing free public Wi-Fi in all 7 district service centers. And that's a huge thing for us because, it's the first time we've had Wi-Fi at such a broadly available space in Gila River. So that's very exciting. We partnered with AZ Strut on e-waste recycling and some techie camps in the community. And one exciting thing about that is we've also worked with our tribal education department to get the technology terms in the O'odham language. And so we're trying to bridge that, like I said, trying to connect everything with our heritage and our culture as much as possible. We've done some of those same things with our summer reading program and our Great Youth programs. If you want to learn more about Digital Connect, you can find our annual report from 2023 on our website, digitalconnect.org. And please, feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Digital Connect Initiative. That's it. Thank you, Stephanie.
You bet. Thank you, Mikhail, and good to see you virtually. We just saw you last week here at the Guadalupe Hive. They were able to take a tour and see what we're doing over here. So with that in mind, we're going to talk to Carlos. Hi, Carlos. Good to see you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Carlos Valles. I'm the Executive Director of the Sahuarita Food Bank and Community Resource Center. I am Latino, brown skin, brown hair. So I've been with the organization for, I'm going to complete my 6th year here in a couple of months. It's been a wonderful organization. It's grown leaps and bounds, I would say, in the last couple of years. We built a brand new food bank and a campus in Sahuarita. If you don't know where Sahuarita is at, we're about 15 minutes south of Tucson. We constructed a facility, a 14,300 square foot facility during the pandemic, and we learned a lot. And much what I believe Michelle had mentioned this earlier, we had a lot of residents in the community coming and using our Wi-Fi. And at that point, we just didn't have the capacity to do that. So that kind of got the wheels turning when we built our new facility. When we opened the doors in 2022, we had a small technology hub, and through a wonderful partnership with Cox Communications, they helped provide some of the equipment for us to kick off. So food bank, most people assume us with, when they think about a food bank, just emergency food. That is our core mission since 2010. About 2015, we developed the Community Resource Center because we wanted to help individuals, with different opportunities, break some poverty cycles. We see 3 or 4 generations of a family coming into the food bank. And so how can we help stop that? And so while it seems like we do a lot, we probably do a lot more with partners, and that is a fact. So 2015, we developed the Community Resource Center, looking at things that we could provide to our clients. So again, when we constructed our new facility, we had that vision, the Community Resource Center. So with our tech hub, we developed a computer basics class for individuals that might not have that resource. It's free to the community. Also, we have a Lego robotics program on the weekends, and it's really to get kids somewhat familiarized, acclimated to the programs that are available when they go into high school, potentially through a CTE program. We also have open hours for help with technology, because we have a lot of people that come in here with the newest, latest gadgets. And for us, I like to say, hey, we get to also try out those new gadgets, but we get a lot of seniors, so we help them navigate. And that kind of developed into a scam prevention program through the WBLA, the Work-Based Learning Alliance. We had students, high school student interns that summer that created an awesome curriculum. It's a 4-week presentation, and it's really designed to people, how not to get scammed online, what to click, what not to click, and it's just to promote awareness. And so through this, there's also been talk with like AI. A lot of our seniors consider it a threat, but we see it as a tool, and how can we get some of these messages out? So we have a couple of experts in the community that come in to facilitate these regular classes. And so last year, we really grew, I would say we grew into our teenage years. We became a licensed vocational school through the Arizona Board of Private Post-Secondary, Arizona Board of Private Post-Secondary Education. I got to get that right. But what better way for us to offer national certifications through a licensed vocational school? So we have a welding program that uses augmented reality for 75% of the program. We're able to take this, and I'll talk about this on our mobile unit. And of course, it uses broadband internet. So we were really focusing on how can we provide national certifications to our clients, that it's not through the food bank, it's through a licensed vocational school. So we have a couple of programs. We have a Google IT certificates program that also falls under our Saguaro Skills Center.
We're working on a renewable energy program with a couple of partners and then a couple of other IT related skills. So that's going to segue me into Project Azul, which is our mobile unit. Project Azul, it's an acronym. Azul stands for Arizona Uniting Lives. And it's really an extension of the organization. It's bringing resources, broadband connectivity to rural communities in southern Arizona. Project Azul has it's a 46-foot customized trailer that happens to be blue. So Azul means blue. We just one day we purchased a blue truck and we said, let's buy a blue trailer. We didn't have a name. And we were looking at the truck and trailer and we said, what about Azul? Well, now we got to come up with the acronym. So that's where the name came from. The trailer has room for 8 students plus an instructor. It also has a private office. It has a bathroom. It has Starlink high-speed satellite internet. So that way we could take it anywhere, basically without any type of services. So again, it's an extension of what we're doing. In some rural communities, we get people that have Etsy businesses and they struggle with broadband. So they come and they utilize our broadband. It's really there for them. And they can leverage the resources that we bring. And I also want to talk about partners. Again, it seems like we're doing a lot, but Azul is a platform that we have available to partners. So again, if you have something that you want to bring to rural communities in southern Arizona, I'll drop my information in the chat box. Reach out to me, and I'll also love to give anyone a tour of our mobile unit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carlos. We are now moving on to a new topic. And Peter, I need you to turn your camera on for me. There we go. Fantastic. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. All right. I think, can you hear me okay?
Can hear you and you're ready to push your slides.
All right. Let me find my slide. Oh, here we go. Can we see this okay?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to present here. It's been awesome listening to all of the different organizations and the inspiring work that you're all doing. So thank you. I'm Peter Costa. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Balto Technologies. I'm a 40-year-old male, facial hair, glasses, and quickly receding hairline. So, white skin, and I have like a light white pink shirt on. So I'm going to be talking about our collaboration that our company has, Balto Technologies, with Chicanos por la Causa, a local nonprofit. Many of you might be aware of them, but really our program that we're highlighting is called Future Tech Pathways. And so I want to really focus in on this partnership program that we're doing and highlighting the work that we're doing and how we'd love to work with additional organizations to support this. So really this came about by seeing a lot of the different challenges that were faced within the workforce development ecosystem. I work closely with the director of workforce solutions. His name is Dee Pinkston. And what we found is that there's this gap between employment opportunities and training that was specifically affecting underserved communities. We also saw that a lot of people that were going through training programs weren't necessarily lining up into a high quality job. And so a lot of the barriers and challenges that we saw were time constraints. So this could be like multiple jobs, caregiving responsibilities. And this is just some of the common ones. These aren't even, there's many more challenges that people face. Limited financial resources, not having enough funds for directly going into school, or those indirect costs that are associated to going into training. Access challenges. So this could be location, transportation,
And then non-traditional learners. So this would be folks that just don't have they have a lot of challenges when it comes to that traditional classroom learning, or just not interested in pursuing that college education pathway. And so from that area, we were very much aligned in how we could work together. So a little bit about us. We are a technology company. We are an impact mission. We are an impact organization, and our mission is to connect industry, education, and community through accessible training and upskilling. And then Chicanos por la Causa, they're specifically in the workforce development space. They're interested in how do we create that pathway to folks getting these high quality jobs. So what are future tech jobs? These are jobs that have a vertical career pathway. They provide a living wage. They use some technology in some sort, and then no college degree required to get started. We serve a lot of different industries, a lot of these industries that are growing big in Arizona. And what we've just heard is that people want access to these opportunities and face a lot of challenges in trying to get there. So the program journey that we create is that it starts with some VR and online career exploration. We give people free online training. We connect them with pre-apprenticeship and hybrid training programs. And then ultimately, we're working on getting them interviewed and hired into these different jobs. So part of our VR career exploration, we're working with, we initially had a grant that was from CPLC and Maricopa Community Colleges, and we developed this experience to be inside of a semiconductor and aerospace manufacturing facility. We've recently just partnered with IDEA to expand that into fiber optics and expanding that also into green technology. And we're planning on building out piece by piece a lot of other different industries and career pathways. We're building an online career exploration website, futuretechpathways.com. Basically, it's where you can learn about different career pathways, the technology, and access different free training. Some of the online training that we provide, it's around career awareness courses, fundamental skills training. Here you can also apply to be in these different pre-apprenticeship or hybrid training programs we're doing, and then we connect you with employment opportunities. So our pre-apprenticeship or hybrid training, it's done in a hybrid format. So we'll have folks that are doing much of the courses online, and then they go in person. Many of these in-person training are actually taught by the employers. So this was a program that we did. I'm going to highlight some of our programs, but just wanted to focus that it can be, we've demonstrated it can be located anywhere. These could be in rural areas. These can be in urban areas. We did some at schools, libraries, and then we work on getting people industry recognized certifications. So we did a partnership with Tolleson High School and Honeywell. Last year, we had about 15 people that went through and completed the course. 9 of them wanted interviews at Honeywell. All 9 were offered full-time positions. We found as going through this format, actually, it was we got a lot of female, which is a really big challenge in these STEM industries. And they all landed positions that were starting at about 40 to 50K a year. And then this was just one we did over the summer. It was with ASU, Jobs for the Future, Mesa Public Library, and an employer partner. We had a bunch of people that did a mix of online training and were offered jobs there. We've done some online for semiconductor jobs, and we've shown that we can get people trained in rural areas. And then really what we're doing in this initiative is seeking collaborative partners. So we're looking for employer partners that want to partner with us, different community partners that want to offer this training, and then partnering with government and economic development organizations to continue to fund these and to really spread the word. So if you're interested in partnering with this, with our initiative, feel free to reach out to either myself or to Dee Pinkston at CPLC. And that is us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. We are now going to hear from our friend Sharika. Sharika, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. We saw you not too long ago at a device giveaway event.
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing.
Thank you again for inviting us there.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming. So,
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sharika Jackson. I am African-American female with black hair. Last year I had red hair, but now it's a new color. You know, got to keep it spicy. Have a pink top on, and I am a Phoenix native. And so I know some of you are probably tired of this heat, but I kind of love it. So hate me if you want to. So we're talking about digital inclusion. I am digital inclusion. I am a woman who have been working in tech for the last 25 years, as well as I am the founder CEO of Future Stars Inc. So working in tech, I saw the need to create Future Stars on how I can bring more technology to the inner city youth, as well to youth of color. And so Future Stars, I founded in 2008 with that goal. And so 10 years ago, we started our successful program that is called our Hands-on STEM program, where we are providing 9 months of STEM programming to youth in the South Phoenix community from the age of 7 to 15. And it's for 9 months. We track their grades, we track how their participation, and at the end of it, they are able to win a free device, which then gets them connected. So that when COVID happened, our kids were not disconnected. They were able to stay connected in the classroom because they had gone through our program. And then our big event that we do that a lot of you may have heard of is our STEM Fair, which happens the 4th Saturday of April every year. This year is going to be year 10, so we're looking to go big, always looking for organizations and businesses and tech companies that want to come out and host an activity table. We've had over 300 to 400 people come out. Our numbers in 2023, we have 46% of African Americans, 14% of Hispanic, 17% of Native American, 4% Asian, 4% white, and 15% of other. And our percentages, we are the biggest and most diverse program that happens in South Phoenix. Our numbers did shift a little bit in 2024. We went to 58% African American, 16% Hispanic, 10% Asian, 3% Native American, 6% white, and 7% multicultural. So we are in the heart of South Phoenix on 20th Street in Southern, where we provide our programming. We've also expanded, and now we're providing coding programs, which is called Coding Stars. We're in 2 community centers, one in the Maryville community, one in the South Phoenix community, as well as an elementary school. And the theme is 9 months, right? So I like to run all my programs for 9 months because it's giving it to them so that it's not a one and done. So, you know, our STEM fair is one and done, but our coding programs, our hands-on STEM program is the school year, which is allowing you to assess and get into it and actually feel it, touch it, break it, build it, and have fun with it. And so we enjoy that. Our Coding Stars is being super successful. And of course, what Stephanie was talking about, which is our Title I program, where we have given out over 800 devices over the last, since COVID, over 800 devices. In our partnership with IDEA, we were able to give out 200 at a backpack giveaway, which was extremely hot, but we had we had families come out that were in need, and we will continue to serve and provide and make sure that we get devices out to keep our community connected, as well as teaching. We've hosted a senior program where we taught seniors how to stay connected. And so we're very intentional about what we do and how we do it, and making sure we go to the community of where they're at and not asking the community to come to us. So I ask you, how can you help improve digital inclusion? By supporting us, by supporting the organizations that have spoke today. I encourage you to be the voice of equity in tech, be the voice of digital inclusion, and be the voice of our students. And so they always talk about the big audacious goal that we all have. I would want to put my goal out there, because I'm gonna put it out there and hey, it may happen. My goal is a grant or a funder of $1 million, because we want a building. So if you don't ask, you don't get. And so that is Future Stars. You can find us on all social media. You can email me directly or reach out. I appreciate the time. Thank you, Stephanie, Aaron, Dominic, IDEA, all of you all for continuing to work and partner with us. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Sharika. We're now going to pass it over to Ritika. Ritika, how are you today?
I'm good, Stephanie. Thank you. Can I share my slides?
Absolutely.
All right. Let me start with my introduction. Ritika, the one, like I'm the one, right? If you look at me, brown color, and Sharika said black, I will say black, but getting gray now. So a lot of gray hairs. From India, colorful clothing, and work for the community college. And then when we talk about the community college system, you will see what our role is to look at whether our students have an access to broadband or not. That's so important to us. Look at the digital literacy. How many household has the access to Wi-Fi or not? During COVID, we saw that our students don't have access to Wi-Fi. They don't have the internet connections. So digital literacy is so important to the community college system because we are college of community. So we work very closely with our students to provide the digital device to them. We look at the future growth, what's happening. We look at our economy. Our economy is growing 6 times faster than the traditional economy. And there, by 2025, there are going to be 83 million jobs will be displaced because of the AI and then new job will be created. So now it's not all the 83 millions are gone, right? So their new job will be created with new skills. So digital skills are so important, and how community college and university can partner together. That's what our role is, to look into that. And then in next 5 years, what are the skills which going to be disrupted? So we work on those. For example, as someone said, that Google IT support certificate. We don't start that just in the community college, but we start offering those in a middle school, elementary school, high school, to give them that pathway so that when they come to the college, they have that digital literacy. They understand how to use the technology. We want to create, so workforce training, when we talk about that, if 92% of the jobs going to require digital skills, and our community is not even connected, how as a community college and how as a system of community colleges we are working together. So that's what our goal is, to work on the system where our students have an access, and we will be able to serve the future job needs by having accessibility to the digital equity. And what we do when we look at our digital literacy, we do a multiple training, whether it's a workforce corporate training, whether it's a basic skill someone need, whether it's a critical thinking skills they need. You know, we say skills, we work with Arizona at Work, we work with Goodwill. So we work with all the nonprofit. We work them how we can support the need of the employer. We create a collaboration between the government agencies we work with together with the new companies with their need. We are the communicator for the need of the community and society, and then create that information which is needed for the future of the workforce and the training. So what is under the Digital Equity Act, what we are doing, we are looking at in Yuma, Arizona, at Arizona Western College, at different types of training. Some of the training are like fiber optic technician certificate. We have created that certificate, hybrid, online, come only one Saturday, get hands-on lab-on training. We have whether it's electrical training, whether it's a digital training, whether it's a IT support certificate, whether it's a CompTIA certificate, and looking into also virtual reality and extended reality, you know, XR, VR, and AI, how that gonna impact our future. And also improving online accessibility. We understand during COVID that we need to be upfront of that, to have that accessibility and empower our rural community to address that, the need of broadband, and how we will play that role working with them. And when we are talking about impact of digital transformation, we do look at automation of a lot of processes. What we work with our system, with our community, in looking into which processes need to be automation. Out of all of you guys, 43 or 67 people who are logged in, is there anyone who don't use ChatGPT? Everyone use ChatGPT, right? So AI is going to take further. So how can we embed that automation in our gig economy? And how can we connect the world, which is already connected, using the automation process? What are the new job opportunities and how we can create the pathway. As I said, there will be 12 million new jobs in the worldwide will be created. How will we will be the forefront of it? All the education, how we can support the freelancers, how can we support the businesses? How can we work to upskill and reskill using automation? So how, how the people will be able to switch the jobs very quickly instead of thinking about, oh, I need to think more, I need to do more. How can we promote DEI? It's so important to have equity and inclusion and diversity, and using the technology and companies to unconsciously bias and then promote that DEI, also going to need a digital equity initiative. So those are the initiative at Arizona Western College, which we are working on it, not only creating a certificate or pathway, but looking at overall picture, what is coming, what's in the future needed, what are the training which we don't have where we are behind, how can we support the new incubators, how can we work with the population, whether they are adult, whether they are dislocated worker, whether they are veterans, so that we can transition them to the jobs so that they can make a living, and then good living, not just above average living. So how could we support? This is our goal at Arizona Western College, and that's what we are doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ritika. We are going to now watch a video from our friend Raghu, and I have 2 digital navigators on standby in case this whole thing goes sideways. So I will try my best to share this with you all. Okay. Okay, passcode. Just 1 second. Dom or Aaron, if you're here and can talk a little bit about our mobile hive, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. Buffer away. No, I really do appreciate the opportunity to talk about the mobile hive. So in just about a week and a half, we will have our mobile hive delivered. We have been working and designing and collaborating to make sure that the vehicle, when it comes, is impactful as it can possibly be. Thanks to Carlos and his generosity when we went down and visited him, and the lessons that he shared with us, and some other incredible organizations. I think we took an approach that is sustainable and will allow us to house all of the things that currently exist inside of a stationary hive and bring those into rural, remote, tribal, urban, and suburban parts of Arizona. So the hive itself is an EV RV. It is powered by solar and satellite. And we are working in collaboration with Sun Corridor Network to extend the reach of that satellite so that when we go into a community, we can provide connectivity at a greater reach than we could if we were just using the satellite that was hooked up to the vehicle. It will include everything that's in a hive right now. So laptops, desktops, tablets, 3D printers, AR, VR, AI, robotics, all the fun stuff. And the goal is really to spark wonder and to work deeply in collaboration with folks around the state. So if you're a community anchor, if you're, so that's the schools, community organizations, government, workforce organization, anyone who would like to collaborate with us to bring a hive to your area, regardless of the age of the person who we are visiting, I will tell you that wonder is sparked whether you are 4 or 94. And we have enjoyed immensely the opportunity to be alongside people across the lifespan. And so, did you find the passcode?
I just found it, and thank you for
outstanding.
doing your soft shoe routine while I was.
Oh, it's good.
Yes.
Interpretive
Yes.
dance. So if you see the mobile hive, we're actually really excited about it, and we will invite folks out, and we'll put together a list so that you can reach out. And if you want it to come to your area, we will plan accordingly. And while I have the chance, I don't know if you all have noticed, I've been over here, with my camera turned off, quietly cheering and typing into the chat. I know most of you, and I'm just so very grateful. The impact and dedication and kindness and ethics that are in this room, and the work that you all do in service of the humans in our state, it blows me away. And every time I hear you speak, I am just so incredibly grateful that I know you, that you are the people that are driving so much of this work, and that the people of Arizona have the great benefit of being a recipient of the stuff that you guys bring to life. So I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know you're all so busy. I know you could be anywhere today. And the fact that you gave up your time to come spend this time with us and to listen to your fellow Arizonans share what they're doing, it means the world. It means the world to me. And we are over the moon grateful for your collaboration, for your partnership, for your dedication. And you guys are just awesome. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Stephanie. But I do appreciate your time. Take it away, Steph.
Thank you, Erin. And now we're going to hear from Raghu.
Good afternoon. Thank you for listening to this recording. I feel terrible that I could not be at this virtual event live due to unavoidable circumstances. I'm hoping to engage with the group here in the near future. Quick introduction for myself. I'm Raghu Santhanam. I'm a professor here in W.P. Carey School of Business at ASU. And in my administrative role, I'm leading the executive education, corporate partnerships, and lifelong learning group as a senior associate dean. And I'm also the executive director for AZ Next at ASU. That's a Department of Labor funded workforce accelerator program that's focused on IT and advanced manufacturing. But I'm also involved in a couple of other big grants from NSF and the Department of Energy that are also focused on tech-related new jobs and the workforce development for those sectors. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to the Digital Equity Institute for their exceptional work here in Arizona. Now, the Institute plays a vital role in connecting community and institutions. It includes schools, health clinics, and other neighborhood assets. And they provide educational programs that guide the communities on their journey from digital inequity to full participation in the digital economy. It is incredibly important that we strengthen those early talent pipeline related issues for programs like AZ Next to be successful. See, one of the greatest challenges in achieving digital equity is that there is a broad range of stakeholders that we have to address. We are talking about individuals who live in low-income households, aging individuals, incarcerated individuals, veterans, people with disabilities, those with income barriers, language barriers, underrepresented minorities, and rural inhabitants, right? So each group has a distinct challenge and need, and it's impossible for any single organization or a community to address them all alone. And that's where the work that the Digital Equity Institute is doing stands out, because it becomes a central convening force for stakeholders across the state. It brings together diverse groups to work toward a shared goal, making universal broadband a reality in the near future, right? So so this is where Digital Equity's leadership in building a bridge for all Arizonans to cross the digital divide, ensuring that no one is left behind, right? Now, as we look toward the future, it's obvious that digital literacy and skills are critical to ensure that our workforce and communities can thrive. Arizona, like any other state, it's facing a significant skills gap. And these are in high growth sectors such as IT, cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, but pretty much every sector is going to be technology based. And for that future where every single workforce participant is supposed to be digitally savvy, it is incredibly important for us to think about how we address the underserved community's needs. Because if we don't do that,
is only going to widen the gap between those who can access high-paying, in-demand jobs and those who cannot. Some of the work that we have been doing under AZ Next, which is addressing these gaps, but again, post-high school, we don't get involved in the K through 12 space, at least through AZ Next. And then that's where, we are at the end of the talent pipeline almost. It is very hard to address the systemic inequity that exists in that K through 12 space, and especially, elementary and middle school level, that we have to address those broadband gap and the digital skills gap at the elementary and middle school levels first, because that's what will strengthen the talent pipeline in Arizona. So just a little bit about what AZ Next does. As I had earlier mentioned, it's a Department of Labor funded program, but it's a collaborative effort. It involves several schools at ASU and also the larger Arizona community, but most importantly, the employer partners. What we provide is no-cost training in critical areas, and this is where, again, the digital skills become very important. But all of these training programs are designed in such a way that it clearly creates a pathway to careers in the high-growth industries. AZ Next also builds experiential and work-based learning opportunities. And again, these are done in collaboration with our employer partners. And such programs include internships, hackathons, apprenticeships, and boot camps. We have also, in our WPK School of Business, launched a co-op program, so that allows the employers to actually hire our students while they're going through their undergraduate programs. It, on the one hand, it, of course, addresses a talent need at the employer level, but it also helps the students because now they're earning while they're learning at ASU. So again, if you're interested in co-op programs, do talk to us and we'll be happy to work with you on those co-op opportunities. So in doing so, in the last 5 years, we have over 2,000 individuals, many of them actually those that are working in the industry already, but also many who are high school grads who may not have actually had the opportunity to get some of this technology training. We have had over 2,000 individuals trained, many from underrepresented communities, and we do focus on those that are, that are below the median in terms of their annual income, and also veterans. That's a target group for us as well. And we also had about 1,000 apprentices in the IT space in the last 5 years. We want to grow that, and I think that there is a growing awareness of apprenticeships, and I think that's going to be a critical workforce solution going forward, because one, it of course, addresses what the employers need, but it also addresses the access gap because it lowers the financial burden on the learners because they are now integrating what they're doing at work with the learning that they're doing. And some of the things we have done is actually it helps them to get to the university level education as they're doing those apprenticeships. From a future of work perspective, and when you look at what's next, especially with AI, Gen AI, and I think pretty much everyone is talking about it, what the workforce is going to encounter is a very different workplace. And it's probably, even we will encounter that in the near future. And I firmly believe that in addition to technical skills, we need to foster, I would say, an entrepreneurial or innovative mindset in our future workforce. If you look at how competitiveness and economic growth is happening across the world, and how some of the startup entrepreneurial ecosystems are building up outside of the US, it is becoming very clear that we are going to become even more dependent on tech innovations. And that includes, just the technology itself, but platforms as well as business models. And it's going to be affecting every sector. So this is where I don't think there is a specific STEM job anymore. I feel that there is going to be every single job, including in the creative sector, where tech awareness almost becomes essential for you to be successful, right? So in that kind of a mode where all of this trend is accelerating, we need to be teaching at the middle school and at the elementary school level, the kids to think creatively, right? To see problems and then to define those problems and then convert them to opportunities and provide solutions. So this becomes a very different mode of how our kids learn in schools. And then what we are doing is we are preparing the students for not just jobs. They're also being prepared to create their own opportunities and contribute to their communities in meaningful ways. And within that context, the digital equity becomes even more critical than before. So what's next for us? I think first we need to focus on inclusive education, and this is where the work that Digital Equity Institute is doing and what we're doing in AZ Next becomes an integral part of that kind of an ecosystem, and I'm glad that we are building that very strongly in Arizona. The second is we have to leverage partnerships, and then I thank every one of you who is in this meeting today, but the work also happens on the ground. So this is where I think we have done quite a bit of progress in bringing together communities to build those partnerships, private, government, and as well as the nonprofit sectors. They all have to come together. And finally, we do have to embrace innovation in both our teaching methods and as well as our approach to solving the digital divide. So this is where, taking the students in the elementary and the middle school levels through entrepreneurial projects, capstone experiences, and community partnerships will create a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, regardless of what backgrounds they come from and what circumstances they were living in. So again, let's continue to work together to create a more digitally inclusive Arizona, where all of us participate fully in the digital age and the future of work. Thank you for listening to me, and then hopefully we'll be able to connect with you soon. Good afternoon. Thank you for listening to this record.
Thank you for your patience with that. We are going to now go to, last but not least, our friend Billy. Billy, how are you?
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I am well. I'm gonna highlight you and then it's off to the races.
Absolutely. I do understand my purpose, everyone, that I'm standing between you and lunch. And I've been in these situations many a time, so I will not hold you long. My name is Billy Francis. I do serve as the executive director for the Coconino County Workforce Development Board. We are a product of Arizona at Work that serves as the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act public workforce system. I am new to Coconino County, though. I'm probably new to a lot of people on the call, as I'm now starting my third year in Coconino County by way of New Orleans, Louisiana. But to get all the criteria out the way, I do have black curly hair, and I did begin to identify gray as of this morning. I am of African-American descent. I'm a male. I do have on a gray vest with a blue shirt, and I am in Coconino County, Arizona. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act has 12 workforce development boards across the state of Arizona. And so the uniqueness of what I'm about to speak to today is in every one of your neighborhoods. I thank everyone for the positive words that we heard today. As I heard the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act threaded throughout every conversation, throughout every population that was spoken to, throughout every group of individuals that you're trying to bring economic vitality to through digital literacy. With that being said, Your local workforce development board in your community will be the skeleton of all collaborations, all efforts, because as I often tell our team in Coconino County, we're supposed to be in every room. We're just not supposed to lead from the front in every room. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, when it comes to digital literacy, we have to lean on innovation. We have to lean on the opportunity that provides themselves. We have to make sure that we're preparing our population of skilled workers, our young people, and our individuals for the different opportunities that are coming down the pipeline. In each of your local areas right now, especially in Coconino County, you're working on a local plan. All of the partners that you're partnering right now with have been either commented on a local plan or you're working on a local plan. And the reason why that's important, especially in Coconino County, is because the local plan for your local workforce development system and the funding that comes into your local areas from your Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act through your local workforce development board, it identifies the areas that you're going to focus as areas of importance in your local area. Well, what does that mean? That means that in this local plan, digital literacy needs to be one of the major goals that's in each and every one of your local workforce development plans, because we understand that the transition that's coming in our local workforce system down the pipeline as workforce development in our local area is going to be unique, as we often heard today by all the presenters. But in order to make sure that those workforce development funding and the funding of those workforce development is put into all of the initiatives and all of the action areas and all of the goals that we're putting together in each and every one of our plans, we have to make sure that digital literacy is identified within each of those local workforce development plans as areas of focus as we move forward. Because WIA finds it very important, and they identify digital literacy as one of the important parts of development for all the young people in our community, all of the aging individuals in our community, and for all the businesses in our community as we try to work towards economic vitality within each and every one of our individuals. Now, as we speak specifically about Coconino County, when you look at the makeup of Coconino County, we find ourselves in this beautiful place in a unique situation, because we are made up of some rural areas, and we do have the indigenous land that surrounds Coconino County that makes us a very unique area. But we do find ourselves at the time with more solutions to having this digital landscape and digital sovereignty found in Coconino County because of some of the challenges that's presented to us on a daily basis. You see, with most of the innovation that comes through Coconino County, we find ourselves with very limited broadband activity. And we do thank all of the resources that come to our community through the BEAD Foundation and other populations. But we find ourselves, even with those platforms and those opportunities coming to our land, that we do find ourselves with challenges because we don't have broadband, and we have very limited broadband capabilities all throughout Coconino County. What we've done in order to combat that is we understand that we have some barriers with affordability. We understand that most of the time, in order to get the accessibility to our rural lands and our tribal lands in Coconino County, we find it very difficult at times with the costs, in order to make sure that we're delivering the quality of resources needed. We understand that if we're going to provide opportunities to all of Coconino County, then we have to find ways in order to transcend some of those barriers, because we want to make sure that AI and all of our virtual job opportunities, all the jobs that can go out to the different landscapes in order to provide those opportunities for the individuals. We want to encourage that everyone in Coconino County, wherever you reside in Coconino County, we want to make sure that they can reach economic vitality in their different locations and all the little communities that make up Coconino County. We don't want individuals to feel like they have to move because of the lack of resources and the lack of opportunity. We want them to be able to stay at home. We want them to be able to stay around their families. We understand that in order to bring some of these solutions, though, we're going to have to build a better infrastructure. We're going to have to build a better infrastructure so that we can build upon. I was so excited to hear everything that was being talked about today, and how bright the future is and what we can move forward and look towards for digital vitality in our community. But being someone new to the local area and come from urban and now in rural, I see that there's such a large gap between where we're at right now as the state of Arizona and where we're trying to go in Coconino County. But I know that the livelihoods and the opportunities that we want to provide to these individuals that make up this wonderful county and make up the wonderful Northern Arizona, we're going to have to continue to work through public and private partnerships in order to bring those populations. We're going to have to work through some multilingual resources in order to make sure that when we're trying to reach out to Coconino County residents that makes up our community, that we have to understand, Arizona, that it's not a one size fit all, and it can't be a blanket approach for the individuals that we are calling family members and the members that we're calling neighbors. You see, it can't be a one size fit all for Coconino County, but these individuals are unique enough that we should understand that we have to transcend all of these different things. But that's why we're here as the Coconino County Workforce Development Board, because we challenge our community to come together, to bring their resources, to bring their uniqueness, so that we can create a community, so that we can create a county, a region of collaborations, partnerships with not only our local government, with our tribal government. And so I encourage you today not to just hear that we have issues, because in our local plan, we are developing ways that we can increase automated environments, offering digital literacy to all of Coconino County, because we seek to tailor a workforce system that speaks to the specific needs of the people in our community. We're trying to increase all access to our services in our community, as we've went out and we was able to purchase kiosks that we can put out through all of our communities, where they will have access to the services that we provide. We have to do a better job, even as the Coconino County Local Workforce Development Board, to make sure the services that are provided through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act reaches out to all corners of Coconino County, all corners of the northern region. And by doing that, we have to be intentional with our efforts. In some areas, digital excellence is going to be very easy to roll out, because the partners are going to be right next door, and you're going to be able to hold hands, and you're going to be able to make it work. But for our rural areas, and not just Coconino County, for all areas that are rural, we're going to have to be intentional. We're going to have to be intentional with our collaborations. We're going to have to be intentional with our funding, because we're going to have to be intentional about the quality of life that we're trying to provide for our people, for our neighbors, and for our friends. And so, Stephanie, I won't take any more of your time. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address the group. Thank you for the opportunity to meet each and every one of you. I'm sure we're going to get an opportunity to speak to each other much more. And thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to serve the wonderful people of the state of Arizona and the brilliant people of Coconino County. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Billy. Always good to meet a fellow New Orleanian. We'll talk about that later. But wanted to make sure that you guys have our website, our new website. It's theidea.org. And thank you so much for spending the first half of your day with us. And we look forward to seeing you all soon. But if you do have anything you want to share, please do either email that to Aaron or I, or any links that you want to put in the chat. We'll make sure that those get put into an email. And we did record this session, so you will receive a link to the recording as soon as it's ready. So thank you so much, and keep up the good work, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. And Stephanie, amazing job. Thank you so
you.
much for steering us through the day. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Yeah.